cursed coil. All right. How are we doing, everybody? Live, live, live. Live for once, right? That was such a mess up this weekend. Hey, what's up, Bothan? Uncertified electrician, that's a good name. And Svar, how you guys all doing? Hey, three unique messages at the beginning of the stream. That's I'm gonna clock that up as a win. Bread. Yeah, I feel like bread today. How's everybody doing? We had such a mess up this weekend. I had Julian over for once, and we were gonna do our thing. We were gonna stream. We were gonna do stuff with the mixer, and my Rodecaster, this thing right here, that thing messed up. And I don't think it actually messed up. I think it was actually just me who wasn't familiar with ASIO. It's a sound in and out thing, ASIO. And it's one of these things where you don't have any options with it. You just plug it in and it works. And you get all these extra sound channels on your device, right? So I would have to assign them all in OBS. And I guess in OBS, things got unplugged because obviously I did a bunch of streams where I didn't use that mixer at all. So somehow they became disconnected and lost settings. Everything lost settings. I got free clay from a construction site so I can build a mud oven. Actually sounds fun. That actually sounds like a good time, to be honest. It's not sitting around at a computer all day. But yeah, so all the channels got like misassigned or something. They got muted in OBS, and I didn't know how to recognize that everything was plugged in and working properly. And so I thought that things had broken. And my first instinct, my very first instinct was to take the mixer apart, which was dumb. I thought because the mixer had been clamped to this desk, it fell over one day. I was sitting at my computer and a bonk, clunk, big noise. Oh, the mixer fell over. So I attached it to the table that it's actually working on, which is fine. So that's where the mixer was living. It was doing just fine where it was. I thought day before yesterday, that in falling, it broke its USB plug. Because that happens. You know, that always happens. The USB plug, device falls, and then the USB plug gets tweaked, and then the terrible soldering that they always do with USB sockets, USB-C even, suffers from this. They just pop off. The solder just breaks, right? That was apparently not the case. I took the whole thing apart. My first instinct was to take the device apart. Dumb. I shouldn't have done that. Took the whole thing apart, took one look at the USB and said, oh, it's fine. The USB is totally fine. There's no problem. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the USB socket. So I had to put everything back together. Everything back together. All back together. Put it back together, plugged it in, and realized that it actually was being recognized by the computer. And it might have been, I did a driver repair for the ASIO stuff. There's a Rodecaster ASIO driver out there, and then a plug-in for OBS that does ASIO. So you plug it in, and then OBS has access to all the individual channels of the mixer. It's really powerful. It's good stuff. Helps you really do a lot of interesting sound mixing and routing. But I think nothing was broken. I don't think anything was broken. So I had to re-verify that everything was working and plugged in. Now, what I need to do is probably when stream's over or sometime on tomorrow, I'm going to try to figure out the order of operations that I have to boot everything up into. I might have to restart the computer, might have to start up OBS again, might have to turn the mixer on and off in a certain order in order to get everything to recognize and come through so that I can have the two stereo channel inputs so that my buddies, when Julian and Dave come over, they can actually put sound into the rest of the stream. I have to do these things because I'm terrible at selling gear. What I really should be doing is getting a bigger Focusrite. Well, Julian has told me that this is what I must do. The other Lone Star subbing with a Prime for 34 months. The other Lone Star, thank you so much. Hey, by the way, we're still getting parts off of that circuit board, off of the video recorder that you sent in. I'm still sacrificing parts from that because it's got a lot of good audio stuff on it. Yeah, I was hunting on it the other day looking for stuff. But yeah, the mixer, I have two of these Rodecaster mixers, the Pro and the Pro 2. The Pro 2 is for game streams, and the Pro is for when my buddies come over and do music stuff. What I really should do is sell the Pro, the old one, and get a bigger focus rate. But I just haven't, I'm just not good at doing that stuff. Selling gear, I don't want to sign up for forums and all that stuff. So, I mean, I could just put it in the back and then use my Pro 2 and move that between desks. That would probably mean that I need like another configuration of it. I got a smoke barrel, some grills, and I want a mud oven. A mudvin. You could turn that into a smoker. Mud oven and smoker. That's crazy. I can't imagine just getting a bunch of clay and being like, yeah, I'm going to make an oven. How's everybody doing today? We're just going to do some miscellaneous stuff. This camera's not configured. Yeah, look at it. Look at you auto-focusing like a chump. All right, let's go to the setup. I still haven't... God, everything remains the same around here. Everything remains the same. Things change, but everything remains largely the same. Lurking while working. I appreciate that. A lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. You're in good company. Things largely remain the same. I still have the tiny Stream Deck, even though the bigger Stream Deck is right there. It's literally right there, just out of my vision. My vision is largely based on movement, and I have a lot of blind spots. So that thing's sitting in a blind spot. That does not work with my USB 3 hub over here. So that kind of throws a wrench in the works. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do with that. Maybe directly connect it just on a long extension. Anyway, setup, ARM procedure. That goes through a bunch of automated stuff through Node-RED and gives us our wonderful Elgato's. Yeah, so if I plug it into the powered hub, the powered 7-port hub, it will turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off. If I plug it into the non-powered 4-port hub that's plugged into the 7-port hub, it will do like a gray screen. It does different stuff, and you wouldn't expect it. You'd expect it to be like low on power for this one, but that's not what it does. It's just two different responses depending on which one of these. I think it needs to be plugged in directly. It's unfortunately treated like a high-speed video device, I'm guessing, and it doesn't get along with the Logitech cameras. I think that's what the big deal is. That little extension hub is actually so that I can move cameras over to the game computer so that I can do gaming streams that I haven't done in like a year. It's been a little while, huh? I don't know what game I would do. I'd probably have to pull a driving game off the shelf, like get something new. Not just Euro Truck Simulator. Do like either one of the My Summer Car clones or something else that's, not frenetic. I don't know what kind of, it would have to be a driving stream just because other games that I'm playing right now, I'm playing, I haven't touched it in a couple days, but Abiotic Factor has gotten extremely hectic. This is sort of the crescendo part of the plot. So you've gone into the facility, you've gotten familiar with it, you've built yourself a base out of office supplies, and now it's the big push to overcome the bad guys. And I'm guessing from there we move on into the conclusion of the whole plot, which will be a big deal. But so right now the game is like heavily combat focused, and I'm not in a combat mood. So I did a little bit of it, and I'll probably do more later. But it's gotten pretty crazy. What's up, Comrade Soul? Comrade the Sun. Yeah, we're gonna build a couple patch bays, I think, today. It's not the smartest thing we've ever done, but it is necessary work, I think. Julian had some commentary about these, about spreading out the ports, and I'm like, how am I supposed to do that? I'm getting feedback from Julian, although I might wait until he's done gathering information to get like a big directive from him, because right now it's just everything under the sun, right? It's just every single piece of feedback. Like, could you put more knobs? Could you put less knobs? Could you move this over here? Could you move that over there? None of it agrees. Like, oh, maybe what if we do mono channels? What if we get rid of one knob? What if we? And so it's like, focus. We're gonna have to, at the end of the week, I'm gonna have to like sit him down and be like, all right, let's come up with an idea, and I will execute it, and then that'll be it. Because can't do everything with one design, that's for sure. In the meantime, I am in kind of a divot. I'm in like a open project space. Something's going to fill the void, but the question is what and when. Obviously, we do have stuff to do. I need to work on burning the subs. I've tried to get Node-RED running with the Twitch API. That's going to be the big thing. That's supposed to be like a big step in getting all this stuff together, is getting Node-RED and the Twitch API talking to each other. And so far, you know, I found this nice, concise node for Node-RED that should do all the Twitch API stuff. I'm not doing it myself. Somebody else figured this out. Problem with these GitHub projects that we find for stuff like this is that somebody may have made a Node-RED GitHub start point or whatever in order to get everything done, and then they finish their project and they move on. They finish, they move on. When they do that, something changes and then it breaks the project. But they can't be asked to come back and fix it again. So I've got to sift through the broken pieces and figure out if a project's actually going to like permanently work for Twitch or not. I think this one should. It should. I don't think it's using a depreciated API, but I can't get it to work. I put the numbers in and it doesn't do it. It doesn't do the right thing. So I've got to strategize on that one. That should have been like a simple Saturday thing. Just put a couple numbers into a thing. Oh, look, Node works. Now I can bring it up on stream. I can't do that with you guys because it involves like my stream key and an API key, something that somebody who knows bots and APIs could immediately use to just obliterate my stream. And people do this. They get the numbers and they blow up your stream. I don't want that to happen, so I can't do anything with the numbers with you guys. When I get that node working, we can work with that node to do other interactive stuff. Until then, it's all on me. And there's something dumb that I'm not doing because it's literally 3 numbers that I have to put into this thing. So it's something on my end where I'm too dumb or I'm putting in the wrong thing. But I can't share that with anybody because you guys will blow up my stream. Yeah, when you find like that one plugin that's going to save you a ton of time, but it's such a niche that that's it. Like, and the same thing happened with Burn the Subs, the database, in terms of people wanting to search for their name on the board. Like, oh, that's a cool project. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a GitHub for it. Here's this thing, and I've moved on. And then it depreciates. So that happens all the time. I've had, I think, 2 or 3 people make a search dialog for Burn the Subs so they could find your name, and it would zoom in on it and do all the Google Maps stuff with it. But it's all abandoned. And I don't know how to host a website. I'm not good with that kind of stuff. I guess GitHub, you can kind of partially host things. The database is too big for me to upload on GitHub for the old ones. But that it includes all the G code that's used to make all the names and stuff, which I think we're going to keep. I think I'm going to keep that. The database will be big, but it'll contain basically everything you need to make all of the artwork again. That's this song. Oh, the music isn't too loud. Looks like it's roughly half of my volume. Wait, but that's exponentially. The one thing that I thought Julian would come back with me at, that he didn't come back with me at, because we just made a 4-channel, essentially a 4-channel mixer, right? 4-channel mixer that's organized in 2 pairs, 2 stereo pairs. And when one of the stereo pairs isn't plugged in, it'll send the audio to both channels. So it's basically a last point mix that'll go to headphones or whatever piece of equipment you're recording on, and it'll make your final mix, right? So of all the things that I thought Julian was going to criticize, he didn't seem to be affected by any kind of a logarithmic nature of the fade in and out. I think it's not, I think it's linear right now, but he didn't comment on that. I don't know if he knows that he can comment on that, because if he commented on that, I would have the very difficult position of trying to logarithmicalize that voltage level coming from the potentiometer. You can buy log-based potentiometers. Yeah, it's log. It's better than bed. It's good. That joke would have worked better if I'd gotten to the button faster. Yeah, logarithmic volume scale, I guess he didn't say anything about it, so I guess we're good on that. It's just the reorganizing of whether or not, he's like, well, maybe we don't need a volume knob on the final one. You just mix with the other 2 channels. I'm like, that saves me about like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 6 comparators. If we get rid of that final volume knob, I could seriously simplify our very complicated circuit. And among other things, I need to flip the direction of the plus and minus and the volumes. Man, there's a lot of work to do, and I'm just kind of like, I'm stalled on it. I'm a little burnt out right now. So we're doing simple stuff. I'm gonna make some patch bays and whatnot else. Because yeah, he was like, you could maybe move these a little bit. I'm like, dude, I have the maximum number of thing that is available to this panel. There's no more. I can't do more or less. Nor can I move the pairs. They don't get closer. They could only get further apart. So if we get rid of one item, sure. But other than that. But I've noticed that I needed patch bays in order to run this stuff. So I should probably make one that does stereo to mono plugs too. I have to use a different kind of plug, the ones that are in storage over there. I don't have the stereo Thonky Kongs I need to order. My to-do list is huge, and I haven't looked at it lately. and it doesn't exist, I think, is the problem. Items keep getting added, but the list itself just does not exist. Welcome to Tuesday, huh? What else do we got going? Not much. Willow's had a contentious couple of days. We went to a puppy birthday party over the weekend, and she ended up getting into a fight with the birthday boys' I don't know what the relationship. It's son of the owner of the birthday boy. Their dog, which is a small female dog. Willow's a little bit bigger than her, but not by much. But they got into it with each other, and they were like barking and scraping and biting. I got a scrape from it. They kind of got into a little spat, and so it was so awkward. It was like going to a toddler's birthday party and your kid bites another kid. It's pretty much on par with exactly that. So I had to be like, well, we're gonna get out of here. I gotta go. I can't believe it. She's had kind of a mean streak lately. I don't know what her deal is. She's getting a little dominating around other dogs. I don't know what her deal is. What up, Gonad? How you doing? What we got going on here? How are my cameras looking? They look okay. We have big trails? Yeah, let's calibrate that one. Setup, micro procedure. That's gonna do a little fade. I put that little fade in there so that I know something is happening. So I know stuff's being adjusted. Now that's pretty good. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. We're not doing anything complicated with the circuits today. This is just where we previously built the temporary circuit for the mixer. I'm done with it. I have no more mixer circuit. The circuit might see a big change up though, depending on what feedback I get from Julian. If we remove one of the things, one of the knobs or plugs, which I don't think we can remove any of the plugs. I think that's mandatory. So if we remove one of the knobs, then everything can spread out a little bit more, and that'll fundamentally change my circuit again. So no matter what, I'm looking down the barrel of a complete redesign of that circuit. Hey, it doesn't fail, huh? It just doesn't fail. I was talking driving games earlier, Gonad, if you still got the window open. Something that I can do on the weekend for game streams. I have to find a chill car game. I don't know if I should play into what's popular now or what. There was that one that I wanted to try where it was like a survival horror car game. Finally, time for MSC Rally. I did the MSC Rally. I didn't get gold. I don't think I'd get gold because it's been over a year. It's been like 2 years since I played the My Summer Car Rally. I don't think I'd do very well. I don't know. I still have the muscle memory, so maybe that's the advantage. But I don't know. I bet doing that with a controller would be better for times instead of my giant setup. That's another thing that we could have done today. Damn it. I can get that piece off of the steering wheel, and we can do the scan of it with the scanner that I got, the Creality scan. This is literally just called CR scan. Creality is very creative with their names. They just put CR in front of it. But the scanner and the turntable, we can take a scan of that middle piece, so I can 3D print an airbag cover, essentially. That's all I want to do. I might have to cover that with tape, though, because it's a reflective surface, so it might play a little funky with the infrared of the scanner. I had a lot of trouble coming up with what we'd work on today. I don't know why. So I'm defaulting to stuff that's simple and stupid. We're just going to put together some plugs and do a little bit of light soldering. Sukol. Are you planning to do something with Arduino? I'm a noob. We bought a beginner kit plus Arduino. It'd be pretty cool to watch how you do it. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, you know, every now and then we will do like an Arduino Basics day where I go back and I build something out of one of these. Arduino is a lot of fun. You can find tutorials up the wazoo for it, right? Everybody has done something with an Arduino, and you start with just flashing the LED. What that does is that makes sure that your path from computer to chip, that your path from computer all the way to microcontroller works, right? You never look down your nose at the simplicity of an Arduino tutorial project, because you will find that there's all kinds of like little errors that'll happen along the way. Arduino packages everything into this nice little, you know, walled container for you to use. But when you drive out into like more complicated microcontroller stuff, you have that fundamental groundwork that has already been laid. So you know when you run into these little problems, you're like, oh, I know what that is. I know what's going on there. So start with a very basic, like super basic tutorial. Every now and then we do that. I like to do that because doing those super simple projects helps everybody understand the foundation that's getting laid, right? Everybody starts from the same place. I like to keep it simple and stupid, and then our projects balloon out of control, and I end up making a mixer that has 10,000 op amps on it because I had to isolate all the channels. But you're right, we should do a day like that. It's not today, but today we're doing easy, super simple stuff anyway. Yeah, just blink that LED. It's the most easiest complicated thing you'll ever do. An ego, yeah, you got to get by your own ego. It's tough. A little self-reflection. Oh, we need to open YouTube comments. I failed you, YouTube. I'm sorry. I'll say hi to the YouTubers. Mute. There we go. Weaselbox. You're not dumb. It happens. We all have brain limits. Red Borb. Winking LED. Sorry, Weaselbox. I'm gonna pop you out to a new window, and now you'll be included with chat. Also had a surge of confidence from making my first LED. You made an LED or just powered one? But yeah, blinking an LED is really the onboard LED. You can just blink that onboard LED, right? You just blink the onboard LED. That is the most important one, because then you have your path vetted out and you can go into whatever the more complicated project is. But start on the ground floor. That's what I say. And then if you want to do something with the Arduino and you don't have any good ideas, you can look at project blogs and stuff like that. There's 10,000 million billion projects out there. One of the classic things to do with an Arduino is you have Project A and Project B, and you make Project C out of it, which is something that nobody's ever seen before, right? Then take the elevator up. No, you're not going to be doing like code cracking immediately with an Arduino. Don't do what I do. I said, man, I love all these joysticks that I have. What if I put them all together with an Arduino? And I'm like looking into USB protocols. Like, what am I doing? Don't forget resistors for LEDs, otherwise they like to go pop. They don't go pop anymore. They changed the formula. They changed the epoxy or something like that. Back in the 1980s, my brother and I would take 9-volt batteries to these LEDs, and they would go, and a little piece of it would fly off at warp speed, and there would be like smoke coming out of the thing. Man, they don't do that anymore. What's up, Smith Clay? Blue fuse, yeah. Anything on board should have those current limiting resistors. Yeah, if you, that's what I mean. What I'm talking about when I mean like blink the onboard LED. Onboard LED is everything it needs. You don't need to wire up a circuit for it, so that you can immediately rule out bad wiring. You plug the USB thing right in, and you get your program to load up on the microcontroller. That's the sort of the complex part, right? Once you get that vetted out, you know that all works, and you can move over to your circuit, and then, you know, if something goes wrong, it's my circuit. It's stuff like that. No problem, I don't mind interaction. What direction is my fan facing? Instead of turning around, I'm going to use the camera. Ah, it's not facing towards me. All right, I'm going to go kick the fan. Literally and metaphorically. I don't know what that means. I don't know. What does kicking the fan mean? Is that a colloquialism? Hey, kicked the fan a long time ago. GPT. Yeah, that's where some people are going, huh? I think you're my only good example of that, Gonad, is using ChatGPT to kind of help with the basic groundwork of putting something together. Like, for Gonad, it was getting the VFD screens to display stuff. They work in serial, so it's all pretty simple stuff, but getting it all put together into a nice little program, yeah, apparently it's very good at code and organizing code. I don't know. I mean, if I was staring down the barrel of the steering wheel project again, would I use? I don't know if I would use GPT to help organize it. Yeah, it's kick the can down the road and then shit hits the fan. I guess it is a bit of a mixed metaphor. I like mixing metaphors. They make nice little swirls. It's a parallel connection? Oh, so it's just serial. I recommend GPT to learn code. I suppose. I haven't really used it for that. I mostly just use it to kind of scoff at. Just look at all the terrible AI stuff that it poops out. Use my daily program for some stuff. I guess it is very good at that, huh? Tunes today feel different? It's DJ every day. It's somebody who I've used for background music before. But this is a more tech house kind of stuff. You get error messages, you don't really understand what the problem is. I'll have to try to use it for that at some point, just so I have perspective on that. I don't have any perspective on using it because I don't like using it. With the steering wheel project, I mean, that became a huge thing, right? If you guys don't know, the steering wheel project is something that we worked on years ago. It's real car parts coming together to make a direct drive steering setup, direct drive game controller for car games. And yet I have not played any car games recently. Put all that effort into the project and then don't use it. But what we did is we found out that, and again, organically, found out that, it seems so recent, I know it was years ago, found out that cars have their own particular kind of digital bus. And so we took over that digital bus and then we brute forced into the steering wheel's command structure in order to get signals back out of it. And then we turned that into a way to hit the buttons on the joystick. It was all kind of organic, right? We just kind of like, oh, this is the problem, let's finish that. This is the problem, let's finish that. Yeah. Started the project was probably years ago. It was like more than it was pre-pandemic. And the pandemic was 5 years ago. When did that friggin' happen? What? Oh my God. I mean, we lost a bit of time there. Good God. I can't believe that project is that old. But I mean, you know, again, it was like little bit by bit. And then I discovered, oh, I can buy the pedal cluster from BMW and it's relatively complete. It just means that the electronic gas pedal needs to be mounted somewhere nearby. But the brakes and the clutch aren't electronic. We had to make them electronic. But the gas pedal felt exactly like my gas pedal in my car. It felt just like the actual like pull string gas pedal in my current car, and it felt exactly like the one from my previous car because it was the exact same part. And that is apparently completely digital. It's got two redundant systems to figure out what the twist is, and then the pedal just makes the thing twist, right? That's all it is. So we were able to take that over and add that to the system, and that meant I needed a digital potentiometer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the code that went into the microcontroller, this is the whole point of what I've been saying. Hold on, I'm getting to the conclusion here. This is we took a long walk around the block for this one. What I'm getting at is that I had no idea at the start of the project what all was going together to make the steering wheel. I did not have everything, lined up on a table, make this work. That didn't exist. We got to it by stumbling over ourselves and sort of organically coming up with what the next hurdle was going to be until it was done. And it's never done. But in this case, putting that into ChatGPT wouldn't have happened. I couldn't say, hey, ChatGPT, I need this and this and this and this. One of the other things was that in order to get more buttons on the joystick, because there's a lot of buttons on the steering wheel, we had to then figure out how the controller did buttons. It does extra buttons, but it does it with a wireless module that's connecting over Bluetooth. So we had access to TX and RX pins and had to fake being a Bluetooth module that then connected to another external device. We had to fake that whole thing. Ridiculous. I still can't believe that the PCB commutator worked. It's, this right here. I love to keep dick butt up on screen, but this is how we were getting signals from the steering wheel to the column instead of using a clock spring like a traditional car, because the steering wheel is heavy. It's like 18 pounds, the whole thing. And if I twist a clock spring from a car is just one of the like flexi PCBs. It's like the tape, and that rolls out as you twist in either direction, rolls up and rolls out. But that wouldn't be acceptable, because at the limit, it would hit a piece of plastic, and then inevitably I'd break that piece of plastic, overpull the cable, whole thing breaks, so everybody cries. So we had to make a slip ring. Slip rings exist in a lot of industrial applications. They're slightly more common nowadays. You can actually find them at like DigiKey and Micro Center. You can actually find slip rings, but they're like 1,000 pins, and you need access to the center of the twisty thing. We didn't have that. Center of the twisty thing is solid. It's a solid servo motor. So we had to make a slip ring that went around the radius. They exist in real life, but they're super expensive because they're niche industrial parts. So $5 prototypes, Bob's your uncle. We just made, and this confused Fusion 360 to no end, having closed circle things. So yeah, that's why that sits there as sort of an honor to that whole thing. And Gonad, yeah, made it in one day. I'm sitting here like engineering the thing and like making the circle. Like, oh wow, how's this gonna work exactly? What's this gonna go here? And he was just like, I just put this thing on a record player and it works. He just made a prototype like that, like it was nothing, in a day. The only thing that we didn't anticipate was that I needed to put a little bit of dielectric grease on it so it didn't squeak. Composite video and power going through it. I mean, it's a thing. It's a thing that exists. I remember seeing, what was that show? There was some show where they were building something. I forget exactly what it was, and they came up with the same thing as well. They were like, we need something that can twist and also send power through. So they didn't do as much of an exploration as we did. Like when you look for those, you find a lot of large industrial applications, like a merry-go-round uses them. In the middle of the merry-go-round, there's a bunch of like brushes and stuff that contact. Pretty cool. Roy, I can't believe my kid bit another kid at a birthday party this weekend. Willow, my dog, my corgi, went to a birthday party and got into a fight with another dog. Which is to be expected, but it's funny because the whole place they set up the whole place as it was like a toddler's birthday party. It was set up exactly like one for their two dogs. Willow gets along with all the other dogs. She gets along with literally every dog, except for some reason these two had it out for each other. And everybody was telling me that it's the other female dog is like that. They're contentious, but it's like, I don't know. I think Willow had a little bit of a hand in starting it because she's been a little bit more aggressive in her sort of young adulthood. She's like 2.5 years old. 2 3/4, I think, is actually where we are. Geopolitical e-logging truck's winch had a 4-conduit mercury slip ring. Mercury! So I've heard of mercury being used in like test chambers where you might have like the test chamber needs to be super duper isolated. So you have like a pool of mercury so that things can jostle and still be electrically. She has had that surgery. It was quite a time with her and the cone. She hated that cone. We finally took it off her and she was like biting it. That's crazy that it would be, yeah, I didn't want to deal with like I don't know how a mercury slip ring would go in a circle. I don't know how that quite would work. The other way to do it, I guess, would be to engineer our own like attachment for the steering wheel so that we could use one of those other slip rings that goes in the middle. Worked a lot better than the old carbon brushed slip rings. See, we probably could have come up with something with carbon brushes, but the simplicity of this is that it's just 2 of this same circuit board. One of them, I soldered 6 little spring contacts. They're not even good ones. They were like from a Molex connector. They weren't really that good. The ones you see professionally have like multiple toothed combs that are like, you know, very, very light, springy. But this is just 6 Molex connectors so that this thing could spin and have an even amount of pressure. Oh boy, that was a bad hiccup. I'm going to take a famotidine at the beginning of stream here. I forgot about all this talking, what it does for my stummy. Makes me burpy. Oh, what game is that? Holy shit. Yeah, we got to find another project like that. I think my dual joystick setup needs a little bit of love. We should probably dust that one off and work on that. I thought I tried pogo pins. They were absolutely terrible. The concept is there, but maybe a pogo pin with like a ski on it or something would do a little better. But even still, like the Molex connector is just shaped like that so that it can slide either direction and still work. And it still works. Contacts from a dead multimeter selector switch. The real ones, it's like a thin multi-tooth kind of thing. It's weird. I don't know how to describe it. But it's designed to make just that light little bit of contact. The Molex connector ones are perfect though. They work in either direction and they give it a little bit of a punch. It worked really well. The joystick project was something that I had a long time ago, before I even had a 3D printer, right? Before I even streamed. I was in contact with a fellow who liked to build mini PCs like I do. Cool guy, put all this work into making a left-handed Warthog joystick. The Warthog joystick has basically just a what is that called? A shift register? Yeah, it's just a shift register inside of it in order to do all the buttons. So you tell it, you know, close contact, signal, you know, pulse wave in, and you get your button statuses out. It's like a Nintendo controller. That's how a Nintendo controller works. Yeah, just a shift register. 5 pins, shift register. The Warthog has that for their joystick, and then you can unplug the joystick from the base. So in doing that, this guy got a whole, like, I don't know what he did. I think he designed it himself or something. He went through all the trouble to make a mirrored Warthog, which works just the same as the normal one. All the effort to make a mirrored Warthog, I was going to try to like scan it in 3D back in the day before the CR scan even existed. I was going to try to scan it and mirror it and then figure out how to build one. But this person built sort of their left-handed prototype, went through meticulously the process of making a mold and then molding it to like, I don't know, an exacting amount of detail. It feels almost just like the real one, except that it's plastic instead of metal. Feels very similar. It's got all the same dimensions, all the same stuff is there. So I was building a 2 joystick setup, because when you got 2 joysticks, you can do space flight really well. Like you do all of the axes on one and then all of the pointing on the other, and it just works very nicely. With the stipulation that I would want to add an up-down control to it, so I need to add an analog control to it. So there's a whole project in there of recreating the joystick that I want to do, where it's not just plugging USB into the computer and saying, hey, pretend these are all the same device. Instead, it's making something with extra analog and digital inputs. Very simple stuff, but it gets complicated when you add everything together. I looked a bit into commutators with DC motors, carbon brushes, etc. Yeah, I mean, you don't need all that complexity, apparently. Apparently, just eviscerate a couple Molex connectors and solder them down to a bunch of tracks. Works just fine. But yeah, so the joystick project would be sort of similar to the steering wheel, and that's an amalgamation of a bunch of stuff that I put together in order to make a functional gaming device. And I was hoping to get that done before Star Citizen published. So I never have to work on that project. They're not doing a great job. They're still working. They're still working on Star Citizen. So I have all the hopes in the world, but man, somebody needs to hit the stop button on that, man. It keeps getting more comprehensive and complicated, and I was all for it when it was supposed to be like you were supposed to be the ship, not this person, not an everything simulator. It was supposed to be a bunch of little spaceships running around doing stuff, not you getting into your spaceship, into your luxury yacht. The scope of that game changed quite substantially. It's like a future GTA now. All right, I think we should get started. Might as well. Fade out that music. Oh, I don't have. Oh yeah, I do. I can fade. Look at that, beautiful. How's everybody doing today? I know I haven't been around. Friday didn't end up happening, and I ended up cleaning up a little bit. Well, it doesn't look like I cleaned up because I didn't clean up this corner. This corner is the next thing on my radar, and then project boxes are probably coming up soon where I need to go through all those old project bins. Basically, the containers for cans. In Pennsylvania, we have a distributor system, and so if I want to go like buy beer in any substantial quantity, they've changed some of the laws now, but it used to be that you had to go to a distributor. Feeling dizzy trying to get used to new glasses. That happens? I must have a strong prescription. That's crazy. Anyway, so in Pennsylvania, we have distributors. And so when you go to the distributor and you buy a supply of drink, it'll come in like a cardboard tray that they use to keep all of the boxes of things together. And sometimes if you're carrying a lot of stuff out of the store, they'll give you the tray to carry out. And so I've used those on a shelf behind me to organize project stuff, right? So all the stuff from a particular project will just go in a bin. And then when I work on a project, bring the bin out, open it up. There's actually, there's one right over here full of synthesizers. What's this right here? I don't even know where this one came from. Swiftside lemonade vodka. See, I've never bought that. I think they just gave me that one because I had a bunch of things to carry out of the store. So this is the way that I kind of organize my projects. I've got a bunch of them, and they're all the way at the back of the shop, and I need to pull them out and go through them and throw stuff away. That's been part of, that's the next thing on the organizational totem pole. Cleaning off that desk behind me was a big deal. I finally got that cleaned so that Julian could come in. And then Julian came and he plugged everything in. And then I went, oh no, because my mixer didn't work. And I thought that my mixer was broken. I thought it had fallen and the USB had broken. So I took apart my mixer. I took one look at the USB socket and said, oh, it's fine. Usually what happens is the device will fall and it'll smash the USB connector, and then the solder on the USB connector will break, or the pads will break off of the circuit board. This one seemed to be fine. So I did all this effort, take apart the whole mixer. So I had to put that all back together, plugged it into the computer. Turns out everything was fine. I reinstalled drivers. I tried to get all that stuff working, but I thought that the mixer was dead. So I canceled stream. That was something that I found out on the spot. Julian got the mixer though. He got the mixer that we made, not the mixer that I broke. This is getting confusing. There's multiple mixers at play here. He got the mixer that we made, and it works, and it worked perfectly. And he says it works great. It does heat up the headphone connector a little bit. Heats up the headphone connector. He said that it was actually a little bit small. You can spread out horizontally just a little bit more. We have like 0.5 millimeter to play with. So that'll be pretty good for the potentiometers, the little cutout for the potentiometers. But I'm starting to get feedback from him. And there's a lot of points of feedback that I'm getting. All of it is pointing towards possibly a fundamental redesign. I've got to let him kind of organize his thoughts a little bit for a minute, because I've been getting multiple pieces of direction from him. Like, what if we add a knob? What if we remove a knob? I'm like, listen, this is the maximum amount of stuff that will fit in this form factor. He's talking about getting rid of the volume knob, which gets rid of a lot of other stuff for me. Like, I'm dumping like 2 or 3 chips off of the way if he does that. So I'll have to sit him down when all is said and done and get some real feedback from him and figure out what this thing is going to contain, and then it's going to be a fundamental redo. The circuit structure. Hold on. Ooh, that was a tough burp. The circuit structure, the fundamental like building blocks of this thing are going to be the same. All the gains, all the potentiometer values. Only he was talking about it being like a crossfader, which is even weirder for me to think about. So instead of spending all of this brain meat worrying about all that stuff, I will try to get his feedback at the end of the week. But so far, we did good. It worked out really well. He can sit on his couch and plug all of his stuff into the mixer, and it does what he wants it to do. I have gotten no feedback about there being too much or too little gain, too. So hopefully all our work with the amplitudes, because we didn't really work with frequencies, we worked with amplitudes, maybe that'll pay off. But I think the fundamental redesign, when we do that, I think I'm going to go to 4-layer. He was talking about there being a little bit of noise at low volume, so I think I need to like clamp down on all that stuff. Okay. So with all that feedback coming in and being completely discombobulated, we are left with the broken pieces of our former life. What were we? Where were we? Who? The noise is intentional, and it will continue until you incorporate it into your music. Are you sure that noise isn't the people in your life that like spending time around you? Maybe you've been neglecting them, you heartless bastard. What's up, Lawn Dog? So anyway, we're left to pick up the broken pieces of our former lives. And so we could do that today. I wanted to build a couple patch panels because we had trouble routing signals around. At least 2, 1 to 8. Well, it wouldn't really be 1 to 8, would it? It would just be the whole panel just gets wired up to itself. I printed out extras of these things. These were the mixer PCBs, but if I can get a couple of those in here, then I would at least have the ability to duplicate a signal or maybe monitor a signal while also outputting it. I mean, I could do 4 and 4. Maybe we should do clusters of 4. Either way, it's a super simple project. We can just jump into this. It's almost like nothing. Other than that, I mean, we could try to organize some stuff. Here's all the former parts of the mixer just sitting right here. This is it. This is the star of the show for a while. But we'll get more feedback from Julian later on, and then we can jump into the design. I feel like if I start in on anything, it's not going to be great. And then also we're kind of in a project hangover scenario with the QMK keyboard project. That also kind of crashed and burned. The QMK keyboard project, I put the solder pads on the wrong side. I should have put them on the other side of the board. That was a big blunder on my part. I thought we'd be able to solder bridge over to them. We can't. I took them completely apart on stream. They're dead. They're dead and gone. I think the next iteration of the QMK project, like I said, will incorporate just the RP2040. I've got a couple RP2040s in a bin over here. If I design it directly onto the board, 12 megahertz clock, an EEPROM, that chip, and then USBs from an external place. And then an LM1117. Something to make 3 volts that the rest of the keyboard can use. And that'll be that. That's a bunch of parts that I got to put in there. But yeah, it's unfortunately that failed pretty hard. There's no real way to get out of that one. Wait, what happened here? 3 months unemployed, bananoids. I hope your interview goes well. That's something that's important. That's a big item. Okay, so these are all the same size holes, right? And I put 8 of them on here. It's two for one stereo input, 2 for the other stereo input, 2 for the volume knobs, and then 2 for the volume output. 2, 4, 6, 8. Hey, pretty good. So let's throw some of these together and make stuff. I don't know. We're going back to fundamentals here. I need my specific wrench. This is something that I made specifically for synthesizers. A miniature socket that I filed to a flat face. What I really should do is put something soft on the front, like a vinyl sticker or something like that, so that it doesn't scratch anything, because this is a way to put the Thonky Kong connectors together. There are 2 types of Thonky Kong connectors. It's important that if you do this kind of stuff, you get the right kind, because one of them is evil. It's evil. 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 This is the non-evil one. I don't think I have an example of the evil one available. There might be one in a drawer somewhere. But the important thing to note about this Thonky Kong is that there is a metal shoulder. We call these Thonky Kongs. They actually do have a part number. They have a part number. I haven't memorized it. I also don't know why these have different numbers on the H3, G6, F3. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe just serial numbers, but it's still kind of weird that they all have different numbers on it. Anyway, the Thonky Kong is just a standardization for a mono eighth of an inch, 3.5 millimeter. There we go. It's a standard for a 3.5 millimeter audio plug. And that, typically in synthesizers, they're mono because everything doesn't need to be a stereo channel until you get out to like headphones, which are tip ring shield, which are stereo. So yeah, man, do your thing, do your projects. This is a standard, synthesizer kind of thing. It has just the right amount of distance so that it can work with things like switches and potentiometers and have just about the same panel height going down to the PCB. The good Thonky Kong connectors have this metal shoulder right here. I should get a pointing device. They have this metal shoulder, and that's actually really important. This right here will save you from breaking a lot of these components. The ones that are bad are basically this threaded metal tube is then riveted into the ground connector plate. There's like a square plate under this thing, and this is riveted to this, right? And between it sits the plastic. You can see the plate right there. So when you get the cheap ones, or the ones that are bad, this metal shoulder does not exist. So the pressure from the bolt is actually working on unriveting. It's pulling out the rivet to the ground connector. And with very little force, you can actually disassemble your Thonky Kong, your plugs, to your device. So it's really important that you source the correct Thonky Kong. Now, they decided to call it Thonky Kong and then hide the part number behind a little bit of obfuscation. Thing is, the site where you get the Thonky Kongs is actually probably the cheapest place you can get them in bulk. So I ended up ordering from them anyway. I don't like it when they do stuff like that, though. They're like, this is our leading product. This is ours. It's our product. We make this. Like, no, you don't. You bought it from China. You're just reselling it because you got to buy it in super duper bulk. So anyway, that's a little intro to the Thonky Kongs. Now, if I'm doing a bunch of these on a board like this, I'm wondering if I should... Well, if we do them sideways, then they might get in the way of other stuff. They might bump into other things because this pin is going to protrude. I was thinking if we just physically put them all onto the board and then just soldered a wire going directly down across all of them. It seems like I might have to turn them, though. They're a little bit rectangular. They are a little bit rectangular. See here, you can see the folded metal that holds that together. So if you insert this into your favorite appendage and tighten it to your heart's content over finger tight, then it will potentially pull those two elements apart from one another. So the really important thing is that you get that shoulder right there. So there's three things in this plug. One is a ground connection, the other is the connection to the tip of the plug, and then the third part is a switch that is unswitched when you plug a plug into it. And that's exactly how we were able to do the 2 channels into one. If you don't plug in one of the inputs on the mixer that I made, that switch is closed, and that'll send your audio to both channels instead of just the one. That was the whole thing about that. It's nothing more complicated. No diodes or anything like that. It's just literally a connection that's made to more of the device when you have only one connector plugged in. Sorry, I've got a heartburn is a fickle mistress today. So I would like to make bus bars. Bus bars, super simple. All I want to do is just connect all of the tips and all of the rings on all of the things, right? We don't need to incorporate the switch in any way. We're just using the 2 pins. Easiest way to do it, solder these all sideways and then just run a bus bar down the whole thing. So maybe we should just do that. Actually, how are other people doing that? Wait a minute. How do other people do this? Let's look at what other people are doing. 2 HP bus, not bus bar, I would call it, what do we call that? Distributor? Euro rack. What is that called? It's no, these are more complicated. Euclidean pattern generator module. The problem is if I put 2 HP in there for the horizontal position size, it's taken over by the company 2 HP because they're the ones that have all of the miniature modules like we're trying to make. Isn't it fun when you want to have just one simple term that you should know and you can't come up with it? Not really a distributor, it'd be a 2 HP Euro rack. See, it's I'm just looking at the size, not the company. This is the company. That's $100. DC is a voltage offset generator. Creates 3 channels of offset voltages, each with a different output range. Great for manually controlling CV inputs through a known range or summing together with CV signals to act as a bias. That's all it is. Plus minus 5, plus minus 10. Yeah, $98. It's $100 for that. Whew. Guys, these guys are making bank. Let's see. They'll have it in one of the categories. That's what I'm sort of looking for. CV generator, effects, filters, sampling, sound source, time control, utility is what we're looking for. Yeah, 3 resistor dividers. That's all it is. Yeah, in any hobby space, you tack on that little tax. Avert, buff. Buff. Burf. That's how I get Willow to start barking. I go, buff. She goes, burf. She immediately starts burfing. 2 HP buff is a buffered multiple capable. What? Splitting an input system to multiple outputs. Due to its active architecture, inputs retain their full integrity as they're copied to multiple destinations. So they put an op amp in there. 1 input signal can be copied to 6 outputs, or 2 inputs can be copied to 3 outputs each. What? Splitting pitch your audio signals for signal integrity is critical. Keep your signals in shape with burf. I would love to see the back of this thing, but they don't show it. I would assume that it's going to be like 1 quad op amp or something. I don't know what all the multiple things is about. And they don't identify an input. They don't say specifically this one is the input. So I wonder how that's working. It wouldn't feed back into itself. How would that work? Inputs remain as their full integrity as they're copied to multiple destinations. 1 input signal can be copied to 6 outputs, or 2 inputs can be copied to 3 outputs each. 2 to 3, that's fine. 1 to 6. Okay, so the top one, even though they don't label it at all, the top one is the input to the amplifier, and then the outputs are these 3, and I'm guessing if you don't plug in this one, it will distribute it out to the rest of them. So that circuit's pretty easy. We could make this. I could build this pretty easily. I don't think I'm going to make an active buffer, as they call it. I'm just wondering if it's, in doing these two Euro rack sized modules, if you can twist the output 90 degrees, and if that's still okay. Because this is like, I think roughly the width of a module. Is it buff enough? It's buffing up. It's more burf than buff. So like, if I turn this 90 degrees, I think it's just at the limit of the width of the Eurorack stuff. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it all the time, and I don't think they're doing it on their modules. The best thing that 2HP has for us is on their homepage. They have this image. So we can look at multiple different modules and see what their strategies largely are. And it looks like, oh, there's buff right there. So buff has a whole extra circuit board on it. That's wild. I could do buff in a 1-2 layer board. That would be very easy for me to do. Just 1-2 layer board. I can't believe they would have another circuit board on it. So what are they doing with these modules? It looks like all of them are in the same orientation-ish, more or less. Yeah. So they don't do anything with twisting them. They are continually, they're just facing straight up and down. I mean, we could make buff right now. I could just solder that up with our own, like a piece of proto board. Maybe that'll be the challenge today. The circuit's going to look like this. Hold on. Paint. MS Paint. The circuit would simply look like this. We have our input 1, which is, let's get a big marker here. So 1 input here. And what is it? You know what? I'm going to get an audio. I'm just going to cut and paste one. Audio jack schematic. And we'll get, actually, that's not one of the ones with the switch on it, is it? Oh my God. Come on, it's got to be simpler than that. The switch to jack. Okay. Oh, this is all about guitar pedals. All right, let's do the snipping tool. This just saves me from having to make a shaky looking drawing. Actually, wait, where's the TRRS? There we go. I want that one because I want to repurpose. That's not the snipping tool. Where's the snipping tool? I've been watching Silo, been getting through season 2, and I think Silo exists specifically to justify the soundtrack. I think that's what it's all about. But I have that stuck in my head, that slow, sort of mystical. It's like everything in that show is like that. It's crazy. Everything is mind-blowing. Okay, so instead of this being the tip, that's going to be the switch. So I'll just redraw it. That's terrible. Zoom in, get the pencil. Nope. There. So, I mean, that's not a really good, that's not a great. I just finished season 2. I have 2 more episodes to get through, so everything in the series is a spoiler, so I'm not going to say a goddamn thing beyond that. I think that the entire show just exists to play that song over and over again. That's what it seems like at one point. You're just like, oh, okay, can shocking things stop happening, please? Okay, so we're just gonna roll with it like this, just because for the sheer ability to move forward. But so what we have is we're gonna have 2 op amps. I don't really. How much do I want to use the drawing tools? I'll just draw it manually. You know, okay, so wait a minute. This thing is operating as a buffer. It's not supposed to invert. the control voltages, the audio signal, whatever it gets in, right? So in that case, we probably need 2 op amps on it. Minus plus like this. The thing is, we need to have it in an inverting amplifier so that it can go positive and negative relative to ground. The non-inverting amplifier, does that go, that's 1 plus in terms of your gain. But you can still make that 1 plus 1, right? You can, yeah, wait a minute. No. We only need 2. A non-inverting op amp does go into the negatives, right? Basic circuits, the voltage buffers, it does not require any external components as the voltage output is equal to the voltage input. Vs is equal to Ve. So whatever I put in is coming out the other side. That doesn't invert. Wait a minute. Very high impedance circuit with low impedance output. Useful for interface logic levels between 2 components or when a power supply is biased on a voltage divider. Based on a voltage divider. The figure below, based on a voltage divider, and the circuit cannot function indeed. Load impedance seems magnitude R2. What's that pseudo maze? I was given 12-volt Milwaukee tools, 2 drills, and a grinder. Only issue is the batteries are shot. You can buy adapters, I found out. I went on the Amazon and I was looking around for just a 20-volt battery interface because I wanted to make something be battery powered. I was actually looking up like an electric winch. I don't have one, but I was thinking like, how am I going to get my wheels down from the garage so I can put winter wheels in my car? Like the rickety ladder that we have is probably not going to be good, and I'll probably fall off of it and break my back falling on a wheel. And I don't want to just throw the wheels down onto the ground like they typically do. I wanted to lower them with something. And I was like, man, it would be kind of cool if I had just a little like battery powered winch that used the DeWalt batteries that I use. I looked up online and it turns out people are converting their power wheels for their kids. They're converting them into having Milwaukee batteries because the battery systems are pretty good. And it's nice to have like a universal power source, the universal portable power source. So you can buy the connectors with just 2 big leads coming out of the back of them. And I was thinking about doing that and hooking it up to like an electric winch and maybe something else. I don't know. I had another idea for a thing that I wanted to do. What was I going to do? I don't remember. I don't remember, but there was some other appliance that I wanted to make into a thing. Yeah, the battery packs can be expensive. Cracked one open. They have 3 18650s. Only 3? I bought a spot welder. This is my spot welder. It is just a giant lithium-ion battery and a protection circuit on it. But you can charge it with USB. I guess it can act as a USB battery too. Yeah, the microwave transformers, yeah. I've got a laser power supply transformer. But anyway, this is good because it adds little safeties to the lithium-ion battery, and it makes it so that you can do those spot welds just fine. I was looking up like industrial spot welders. Those are like $500. They do a good job. They plug into the wall. They probably don't expand and blow up like a lithium battery does. But this was like $30. So $30 and bada bing. You have super caps for spot welding. I do indeed. I haven't found an application for those super caps yet. I have that big bank of super caps that I could use as spot welding. I could make a solar spot welder, but I could also just spend $30 and have something with a bunch of protection circuits on it. So that's what I did with that. You should, if you're getting one, look into these. I wouldn't trust it any further than you can throw it, but it's a viable thing and it works. It actually does work to put spot welds on stuff. I haven't had any reason to do portable like battery powered stuff yet. 1000 amp USB socket and the USB blastinator. Rewind the transformer with a 4 gauge wire. Switch the transformer on and off for 20 milliseconds. Oh my God. Okay, so my misunderstanding at the beginning of this was that the voltage follower circuit. I don't think we want to do the voltage follower circuit. I think you want to have resistors in there. But if we were going to make a 1 to 4 channel buffer that operates in the same way that they're describing in 2HP, it would basically just be 2 of these guys. But I'm thinking, if you're doing an inverting amplifier, why would you do the inverting amplifier? You're not changing the gain. We just want it to operate within the plus minus 10 volt area that the rest of the synthesizer stuff does. So inverting, output is fed back in the negative, inverting through resistor R2. The input signal is applied, it's inverting. The resistor, the positive pin, is connected to ground. Now, having a buffer stage between your inputs and outputs, I mean, this technically there's no buffer here, right? That's just connected. So we would probably want to have the 100 kilo ohm resistors. You do 100, 100, and then that's inverting. Would you want to do a unity gain non-inverting op amp? For the non-inverting one, the input voltage is directly to the applied to the non... Oh, God, I hate when grammar errors are in this kind of stuff. I don't know which one I'd want to do. But basically, we would have something like this. I mean, if we were doing only 2 amplifiers, if you do 2 unity gain inverting amplifiers, you will get the same phase of the signal coming out, which is what you want because it's just a buffer. It's not a not an inverting thing. So if you put 2 of these stages, then you could do that. So it'd literally just be here. We'll just do the cut and paste version. I'll just do that. Oops. Just be that twice, and then this twice. And that goes to the 4 outputs. And then what you would do is you would take the switched pin and put that to the other tip pin. Wait, yes. That would go like this. This would go like that. And then one goes here, and the other goes here. So that when you plug one of them in, it'll cut off the other 4. It's very similar to what we did with a mixer. Those just go to ground. But, I mean, we could build that. We could not build that today. I don't know. I feel like just making a straight-up distributor, a signal distributor. Because, yeah, this works in a particular way to do all the 4 outputs. The 3. It's 3 out. I wonder if they do further buffering, if they keep the 3 isolated from one another. That would be going well above and beyond the Call of Duty for this sort of a circuit, but it would be something that... It would be something I could see them doing. That, or you could find maybe some specialty circuit. But in this case, it's just one chip, just one quad op amp. If I were to go further and make it super duper isolated, I could add another amplifier for each output. But then you need what is it, 8? So it would be 2 chips. 2 chips would be, well, 3, 6, yeah, 7, 8. It'd be 8 op amps, which is two pairs of 4. Interesting. Well, that was more than I'm biting off a lot more than I thought. Just looking at the designs of these things. I mean, look at that. They've got 1, 2 chips sitting there for their buffer. What all is going on? How complicated could it be? You'd have your power supply that would be almost directly into the op amp. Put a couple diodes on that for protection, a couple capacitors to make it clean. And then you just go right straight into your 2 op amp chips, and you would have all 100 Ks, and that would be it. It would be a very simple board. Very simple indeed. And then just to be nice, you'd want to buffer the ins and outs. I mean, that's pretty simple. Huh. Okay, anyway, we're making bus bars. I'm wondering if I want to actually put a PCB behind them. What's up, Wonky Robot? Yeah, I don't know how many amps that USB charger is going to be. For this, we need just stupid simple circuit board, right? I kind of want to put these into a circuit board because I think they'll be a little bit better that way. There we go. Here's some circuit boards for you. Yeah, we're doing a little bit of modular. I mean, it's very simple stuff. It's stuff that I didn't have, which would be the some kind of a distribution thing. We could do 4 and 4 would probably be the logical way to do these. I don't think I need 1 to 8. I don't have 8 things. No, I do have how many things? This is a bunch over there. There's some over here. I don't know. But either way, I'm just going to do simple. And then to overcomplicate it, I'm going to put a PCB behind it. But I don't think I have PCBs that are tall enough. Let's see here. Maybe one of the giant PCBs is going to be tall enough. Where's the big boy? There's a big boy. That's not tall enough. There's always a bigger boy. There it is. Jeez. Yeah, this thing is large enough that I can put it right up here like this. A friend of mine built a CV tape station for modular. That sounds kind of cool. Tape station. Is that like where you cut the tape and then like the what was it, the Sisters of Electronic Music? Whatever. Sisters with Transistors, I think was the name of the documentary. Cut up tape and made Doctor Who theme. There's a Walkman tape. Oh, so you got like tape artifacts in your music. That's cool as hell. Do the old MP3 player onto the little tape thing. Wow, I got to cut up this whole thing to make this. I don't have any other PCBs that are going to be large enough. The only other way that I could do it is I could just solder the jacks directly. Maybe we should probably do that. We should probably do that instead of me cutting up a giant board. We could just solder to each individual thing. That means 2 wires on a post. I hate that. But this is something that I've kind of needed. What's up, Caravos? This is something that I've needed, so let's just put it together. Let's just get doing instead of theory crafting all day. Loop tape. Would you have to like buy tape to do that? Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure I understand fully what a tape station would do. And it's not just a tape player, but if you were they modifying Walkman tapes in order to make it loop like eternally? Yeah, see, if you just put it together like this, I can do the rest soldering. Yeah, passive multi. We're not doing active multi. We just talked about active multi. Active multi-channel output buffer is something that I can make, but I just don't feel like complicating. Doing good. How are you? I'm okay. I didn't get a lot of sleep. I'm gonna kind of hunker down and make sure that I get good sleep this week. But I haven't had that discipline yet. I got Julian the mixer. Oh, you know what? The reason that I'd want to have a circuit board behind this is probably for stability. This is going to be fairly weak, just being a 2 HP with the little connections on the side there for the plastic. I don't think it'll. Yeah, that's very bendy. It's very bendy without a PCB there, so I think I need to put a PCB there. Imagine having a good sleep schedule. It's something that evades me on the regular. I need to do better about that, though. Father needs to not feel like ass every day. So how many ports is that going to be? 6. 3. Yeah, it's about 3 holes wide. 3 holes wide. That's what they used to call me. And I don't have a big circuit board press. So we're just going to have to sort of gnaw. That's what I'm looking for. Gnaw the side away. I think actually flush cutters might be okay about that. Hopefully you get some. I had that issue on the weekend. from Thursday to Saturday. Just couldn't. Yeah, I don't know. It's not really stuff to do with me. It's just bad habits. Bad habits. I'm not looking to make this perfect. We're not gonna go crazy and make this perfect. This is gonna be something that I can build today with you guys, and yeah, it's just simple is the name of the game here. Yeah, post the picture. I want to see it. I don't know what it scares me. I don't know what a tape station is or does or is supposed to do. This is tough because I want to preserve this as I'm cutting. So I need to be careful about. Is he liking the mixer? Yeah, he's so far so good. I mean, he did not with love from Belgium. Hey, how's it going? So he hasn't had any serious bad feedback about the mixer. I thought he was going to be like, could you make these logarithmic instead of, no, nothing like that. He says the function is completely fine. I'm getting weird feedback from him as well. He's done a couple polls on like Mod Wiggler and stuff to see what people want, and they're coming back with feedback that's completely off the wall. So it's like, at some point I'm just going to mail somebody a bag of op amps and tell them, you do it yourself. That is freaking crazy. That is great. So you get all the sort of weirdness of tape stuff, and you could put in just a simple looping tape if you want, or you can have a whole Michael Jackson album on it. I want to score across this without breaking the thin part. That's going to be the tough part of this order. I could use a vise. I could use the edge of the table. Yeah, so it's everything we would think a tape station would entail. That's cool. I want to do something weird like that. Mine was going to be sort of more or less a little bit of a jokey commentary on the hobby itself. Yeah, door frame maybe. If I have a dowel rod that I could put down this and then press on both sides. Usually what I do is I hob at the edge, bite by bite. But I don't think that's going to do it in this case. I don't think that's going to be good. I have the big vise over there that I could possibly use. Oh, machine vise. There we go. This one. I can use this one. I always forget that I have it. Yeah, I was wondering about that too. The tape deck probably has a radio in it. So you could do crackly radio effects. My module, the one that I would make that's similar to that, is the dollar module. So I'd put a dollar bill scanner on it. You'd have to basically put money into the synthesizer in order to get it to do stuff. I don't know what CVs I could get out of that. Something on the image scanner, maybe? Depending on what bill value you put in, it would have different effects. And what settings you put on it. All right, so the whole thing, all at once. Is that, yeah, I'm on the midline. Hold on, I need to be more, there we go, more midline. And then the score line that I started should perpetuate. There we go. Bob's your uncle. Look at that beautiful, beautiful line. Antennas normally in a headphone cable. They weren't doing that back in that era of Walkman. It looks like a Walkman. It might be a knockoff Walkman. But you can see on the top of it, that would be the frequency knob, the frequency indicator, that red knob that goes back and forth. I'm thinking it's one of the ones that incorporates the radio. It's a modified Walkman. There you go. Are those findable anymore? We got this beautiful machine scored line and then my own like knobbly hobbed away line. We can use a file to get rid of all this stuff. At least make it so that it doesn't scratch up my hand when I try to put it in the synthesizer. He found the last factory making Walkman? What the? That's crazy. Now, generally with files, they work in one direction, right? But we've looked it up on the show because we've got a particular kind of audience here. We've got a particular kind of audience on the show. And they're the kind of people that will tell you that files only work in one direction. You know, they do. They only work in one direction. Those little pieces that are doing your little bit of carving are facing one direction. So technically, this file only works this way. But when you're using a file, you can rake back across those little blades without harming them too much, especially if you're doing something with like circuit board, which might as well just be putting to this hardened steel. So going back and forth is totally fine. What it does for me is it saves me slipping and then filing a little bit of my thumbnail off, because that's happened a lot. Happens all the time. Doesn't the backstroke help with clogs? Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. There's all there is on the internet these days is conflicting information. So the reason that I'm going back and forth like this is that I can get more strokes in. I'm going to make it, you know, at some point I'll figure out what the sex joke there is, but you guys can fill in on your own in the meantime. With a file on the table for better support. I do that as well, but right now I'm just doing it like this. The whole point of my explanation there was to not get a bunch of advice about filing things. It seems like I've failed. So I'm going at slight angles as well as straight across, just to try to knock off all of the detritus that was caused from the pretty terrible job I did cutting this thing out. But we got it all in one piece, which was their first goal anyway. I need to take the top and the bottom off. Looks like, yeah, we're just barely going to make it if I do. I'll take it off without taking the row of holes off. Keep the row of holes. And we'll see how that works out. But we're not doing the buffered one. We're just doing the straight up four-way splitter, basically. Yeah, going back and forth just seems like you're doing more work. More positive work. It's not, you know, doing more work for nothing. It's doing more work for something. Something. Maybe I'll clean it up. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll just throw it over there. So, I want to get the spacing on these right. God, it's all kinds of crooked. I think it'll still fit, though. Is this too wide still? Oh my God. Yeah, the one row of holes is still too wide. I guess I can take the flush cutters and get it a little bit more flush. Pretty much the width of the Donkey Kong is what we're dealing with here. And I guess this fits. It does fit. But I guess I can do a little bit closer of a cut. Just use the Nip-X right up against the holes where it's already weak. Problem is, if you make a cutout piece of PCB like this nice, it ends up taking up all your time. That's the one thing about it. It takes up a lot of time getting this stuff right, making it not irritating. But then the first thing that I do is close it up inside of the synthesizer, so I'll never know that this janky piece of circuit board is even there to begin with. The only reason that I'm putting this in is because it adds a little bit of strength to that plug, so that if you plug something in, it's not going to just bend the plastic. All right, Matt. Hold on, I got to move this thing. It's right in the way. I can't see what I'm talking to. It seems like the YouTubers are the more chatty ones lately. Maybe content is such shit. It mashes a little bit better with the YouTubers. Oh, back cramp. Just in the right time. YouTube stream buffers less. I don't know. I've had fine interactions with the Twitch stream. I haven't had them doing anything weird for me. Oh my God, Willow is going psycho at the door. You guys can probably hear that in the background. I don't know what she's on about. She's gonna get yelled at. Might be a delivery of some kind. The Twitchers. Wait, what is that? Kibitzed to death? What does that mean? I've never heard that before. Yeah. No nerd sniping? I don't know, the file feels like it's not doing anything. And now my circuit board's all uneven because I have a broken row of holes here, and then this one is just no holes. Oh, akin to backseating. I see. I mean, there's nothing to backseat here. There's not that much project going on. All right, so that should be narrow enough now to fit, although it's going to fit kind of unevenly because of this other row of holes that I just can't get rid of. I have a belt sander that I would typically use with this kind of stuff, and that would give me like a perfect edge. And I'm like, the back of my mind is like, go to the belt sander, use the belt sander. Used to have the belt sander in here. One day we'll have enough shops so that I can actually set up and have all of my tools in one spot. Maybe that day will be the day that I get a lathe. All right, so this has to be at the max, and then if I put this one down here, like so, these will kind of stick on just because of the pressure from the pins trying to expand. And the next one would be right below it. And we'll just see if that lines up to the holes in the panel. What the? Oh, I see. I hear people coming in and out, so people weren't around, which is why Willow went psycho. I can't believe she bit another dog at a birthday party. All right, let's see. I guess I'll just get a new panel. All right, so if I keep going like that, I can solder them on, and then we'll put the front panel on. Just keep going down the line like this. Very simple stuff today. I need one row of holes. I have no room between them. Julian was saying that this interfered a little bit with his jacks. Like, everything fits, but he was having trouble with it. He was wondering if we should rearrange where some of the stuff is on the panel. And he's like, I don't know if that's possible. I'm like, dude, it's possible because everything that I do from now on is a complete redesign of that PCB. That board that we made for the mixer panel, totally and completely obsolete and inappropriate and bad and wrong. Everything that I did, all that freaking work that I put into that thing. The next version is going to be on a 4-layer PCB so that we can mitigate some of that heat from the headphone amplifier. That is probably not even necessary in that application. I have to figure out what the low volume noise is on the thing. Don't know how I'm going to do that. I don't exactly have a network analyzer. Put on the front panel before soldering? No. Nope, don't need to do that. Not with this. These are going to be in the right spot. See that? They just work. They don't really have any wiggle room on this setup because these holes are round and they're sort of pressuring themselves into the hole. Two more. Or no, one more. And we got all this room at the bottom. I'll cut that. I'll end up cutting the board flush because the boards are just here for that little bit of extra stability. Whew, I'm sweating. Why am I sweating already? Because I'm hilariously out of shape is why. All right, so I'm just soldering these down first, and then we'll figure out how to wire them all up together. It'll probably just be a zigzagging circuit that goes around the whole thing. Let's get the big solder out. Get all this detritus out of the way. All my clipped circuit board parts. Out of the way. This is as simple as can be. I mean, this is like the easiest thing. If you're doing soldering, then like, yeah, this is the simplest form of it. Let's get this a little closer. I would like to put this in the vise, but I don't want to misplace any of these connectors. They need to be flat, so I have them flat on the desk. in order to flatten them out. I mean, ultimately, if you're working with something with more wiggle room, having them in the front panel would also be another way to do this. I have them all down here like this on the PCB because I needed them to be individually connected to the PCB since the pins are just a little bit off from the 0.1 inch spacing of the breadboard. They're just a little bit off of that, and actually, conveniently, with the breadboard, they sort of spring themselves into position. They don't really move from there. And so the spacing of our front panel was entirely based on 8 evenly spaced, evenly sized hulls. So I'm able to use sort of the leftovers from the mixer in order to make these. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, so I got to figure out what direction we're going to go in next with Burn the Subs. That needs to come back. I know it's been like a goddamn decade since I had that thing working. The new version of Burn the Subs is going to revolve around Node-RED functionality. All of the board stuff is going to happen on the Raspberry Pi. It'll get the names in, it'll do the same software, it'll manipulate the names, find a location for them. In sort of the same manner, we're going to have bubble letters for original subs and then single line Hershey font for gift subs. So there'll still be the capacity of having lots and lots of gifted subs, but the OG subscribers will get their name in bubble letters. It'll be a little bit more prominent. And then we got to figure out how to connect a controller to my controller so that I can plot out where the edges of the board are. We need to know where the edges are. The edges will inform us. Well, I use the controller to trace the edges. Did I miss one? Yeah, I missed one. Found a nice old industrial CNC font. We use Avenir. That's my pet font. It's a font that a friend of mine suggested. He likes using it for various other things. And I've actually made a Hershey version of the Avenir font. I made a single line machine version of that font. It's hard because you got to decide where things are going to lie on the, like if you have the letter T, it has width to the T. Do you go to the front line or the back line? Or do you plot somewhere in the middle without making it too short? There's a lot of decisions. I felt like the only person that's worked on a font on that capacity since the 80s. I had to actually make my own. Got into all the kerning and stuff like that, the chemming. Okay, I've run out of workshop space. God, I hate it when this happens. Oh. If I shifted everybody up one hole, I wouldn't have had to use these wonky ones. Damn it. That's all right. We can deal. We can deal. So when things are on Node-RED, I guess it'll be some kind of like an HTTP request going into Burn the Subs, and then I'll have to peel off all the relevant stuff. I think Node-RED is probably the better place to handle the censoring, you know, in case there's naughty words in the name. We saw every iteration of that sort of thing with the previous Burn the Subs. You know, people were pretty good at getting those weaknesses and exploiting them, getting at the weaknesses and exploiting them, making the filthy names on the board. And I'm all for that, but we do need to do sort of our college try at censoring things. We got to keep it clean a little bit. So I need a veto button, like a quick veto button, but then I also need maybe something that looks at the characters that are going into it, and then we can figure out whether or not they are an original sub, because you can game the system. Routed Gothic font? That's a hell of a web page. That's the font. It's pretty good. So is it supposed to look like a bad photocopy? I love that font. Pretty good. I like it. Clean. A clean implementation of common lettering style found in technical drawings, engraved office signs, computer and typewriter keyboards, and some comic books and avionics from the mid-20th century. It's ugly, and therein lies its beauty. Yeah. It's super clean. Leroy lettering? Never heard of that. Yeah, that is very, very clean. It looks like it's photocopied because of that weirdness. I guess they probably, it looks like there's some noise on top of it. Like this is the cleanest one there. Huh. Well, I'm not going to be using that font for Burn the Subs, that's for sure. Oh, wrong camera. Burp. It looks like a module. Let's put the front panel on it just because. Just because, and then I can see how strong it is. Oh no, it doesn't fit. I think my hole spacing is a little weird. But you can get this to fit. Yeah, it looks like because of the potentiometers, I have a little, two of the holes are slightly offset for the potentiometers in this panel. So maybe I need to remake, I may need to remake my my front panel. Or I could maybe flip two of these around. Would that affect the center point? Might. If I flip them the other way around, are they going to fit better? So this is part of what Julian was talking about with, no, this isn't that. That wouldn't have saved me. Putting this on here and then soldering it would not have saved me because it's, the potentiometers have an offset to them. I don't want to pull up AutoCAD right now. Well, we might have to. I might just make the other type of panel because I forgot that the pots are off by just a little bit. Here. Yeah, I got to open up AutoCAD. It always comes back to AutoCAD. Oh, but it's open on my other PC. Wait, one sec. Is it? It's not. It's not. Okay. Oh my God, what is going on out there? Kufel and Esser drafting company used to produce consistent lettering using technical pens and templates. Oh, and then I lost my chat window because this thing's decided that it's going to be a full screen application today. Uh-oh. Come on, Fusion, you can do it. Program's trying to open, taking up all of my cycles here. Here's a page showing how it worked. I'll take a look in just a sec. I hate that I have to cut and paste links in order to look at stuff. Oh my God. Hold on. Get this trash out. Get this. My hands to operate the computer are dropping into all of the circuit board nonsense. Klein's Compendium Challenge. Oh, I see. So it's a simple trace job. That's kind of cool. Leroy Jenkins. So, oops, wait, Control-Shift-T. Boop, bring that back. That's a cool little apparatus. Huh. Oh my God, that guy's got a 6-head. Look at the size of that thing. Woof. Neat. All right, so why was that all off and weird? Because, oh my God, move to hubs, do this now, update later, jeez. All right, get this window back into the proper size so that we can see what's going on. I did some, the things you guys missed was with the mixer, I gave Julian a template so that he could make the front panel. And it turns out it's really, really easy in Fusion 360 to make technical drawings. This is literally just, I told it to generate a technical drawing, and then I put in a couple 3D views just for fun because we rendered the whole circuit board, and it made these. And it made these, and it made these, and it made, there we go. Oh my God, come on, man. Get it together. I think the program's about to die. I've got a template, I've got a set of templates, but I also have an automatic one that you can enter text into and it will actually draw it for you using a pen. That sounds cool. Yeah, this is unfortunately not an AutoCAD ad, although I could definitely make it into one, which would justify my copy of AutoCAD for a little bit longer. But this is like their drawing thing. Why is that highlighted in OBS? What's going on? Their drawing thing lets you do all kinds of like different dimension things and create these sort of very IKEA looking 3D views in black and white of the device. I thought that was really cool. I was able to make the like sort of the whole thing, even plotting out where the chips are and everything. And it's as easy as just adding another thing into this. You just add another create a base view. So this is the front panel base view without the PCB there in a 1-to-1 scale, assuming that he's going off of PDF. This is an engineering piece of paper, so I don't know how Julian's going to do the front panel design, but I just gave him this so he... Yeah, I just need the confused IKEA, like, human-looking blob man. You can see these are kind of cursed, the dimensions here. 3445, 5844. These are all influenced by the stuff that's under the hole, by the things and their positions. So when it comes to the actual panel itself, there are offsets from where the evenly spaced hole would be. And I had to do that because the potentiometers were like that. So I can either widen those with a file, which would be one way to do it and not save myself all of the expense of having all this stuff crap out on me, or I could probably reprint it with evenly spaced holes. I should file it. eBay listing for the automatic one. I want to see that. Hold on, I want to see that. The thing's cool. Sounds cool. That's what I'm thinking too. Yeah, the nut will just cover over the file marks. We don't need to over-engineer this. We can just do thing, make happen. What the heck? That's crazy. So it's kind of like a label maker, but it holds a little pen in front of you. I knew something like this had to exist. I knew it. I was thinking with all of the printing technology that we have, why do we not have something that does like plotting with a pen? Use a standard technical pen in there. That's crazy. That's nuts. It comes in a little briefcase. 116 bucks. Oof. That's not even at the end of the auction. Jeez. That's cool. I mean, now I can just throw the technical pen into the 3D printer and it'll just do that. So essentially that's what we're making with this thing is instead of a stylus, we have a laser. And instead of picking it up, we lower the amplitude. Sort of the same. But we've automated a lot of the stuff, and I've had to go all the way back to like the creation of fonts and the kerning and stuff like that. I had to basically think of it as a cursor moving across in order to generate in the font. I had to generate G code for each individual letter. And I don't have it so that I can just plug in a font and it makes it. Because when you're dealing with Hershey fonts, the fonts that, like a milling machine is supposed to make, your tool has width and you have one line to follow. Whereas with the regular fonts, you had an outline that would have black in the middle of it and it would just flood fill in the middle with black. Instead, you have to think about the width of your tool while you're creating the font. So I had to do all that and get all the characters in the right spacing and stuff. It was a very task-oriented Wednesday that I did that for. Basically sat down at the computer and didn't get up until I had a complete font. All right. The important part is going to be identifying which is the top and the bottom because these are off by such a small increment that it is actually very difficult to tell where there's three, right? There's three knobs. So it would be bottom and then a knob. But which of the, oh my God, okay. They're off by so little. 1, 2, and 3 have been pushed upwards. So we need to file them downwards, but I don't know what direction, because I can't tell. You guys see it? Actually, yeah, there we go. I see it suddenly. There, and there are a little bit taller. They're a little bit higher up. God, that is hard to see. That one's got a little bit more space than it does up here. You just screw it in a little holder and it does all of it for you. That's pretty crazy. It's very cute. I have a circular file. Let me go get it, the circular file. That's going to take away a lot of material on this. So I have to be careful about how I use it. In the past, I would just simply use a knife and do like a spoon drill kind of thing with it. There it is. It's right here. Right where it should be, gathering dust. So we're going to be going downwards just a little bit, like 1/3 of a millimeter. And once I get that done, then the front panel will fit on to the PCB. The plastic gives up the ghost pretty easily too. Let's see, so there's that one, then this one. Ow. There are metal files in this thing and they're poking at me. Who would have thought that you would find metal files in a file? Also adjust sizes with it, and the horizontal width and the vertical width aren't linked, so you can make it super wide or not. That's funny. So is that what comic book artists would use? I mean, there's the manual version of it, but it's like, if you're doing comic books, you'd be working with fonts so much that you'd probably justify the expenditure on a machine like that. Look at all the plastic that I've generated. Ew. Why is my thumb hurting? What is hurting my thumb? Ouch, ouch, ouch. Yeah, there's a metal file somewhere on my thumb. Is it gone? No, it's still there. Oh, that sucker got in there. This happened to Julian when he came here too. Got a file in his thumb. Somewhere on that thumb, there's a file or just a piece of metal that has already made its mark. I think it's over here. Yeah, there it is. Oh, no, that's a different one. That's right here. Actually, no, that's it. No, that's not it. Oh, that's it right there. All right, let's see if we can get that with a pair of tweezers. A pair of sharp tweezers. These are usually pretty good for it. These are like for hair pulling. So where is the part that hurts? That might be it right there. No, that wasn't it. What's this? Ouch. Nope, no, it's over here. Owie, owie. Something is right on a nerve. Is it definitely this? You could always do the old glue tactic. Pull it up with glue. Might be it right there. Try this. I'm seeing the same view you guys are, so if it's ambiguous where this thing is, and just as ambiguous to me, I think that might actually be it. I might have just gotten it. I'm gonna press down again and see if it hurts. Ah, nope, ouch, still there. Son of a bitch. This thing hurts like hell. I think there's one in a different spot now, but this thing is covered in shavings, so. All right, well, I got the main one. It doesn't hurt as much hurt as much anymore. Still hurts. Hurts, don't it? It's a hurts, don't it? Oh, leg cramp. just as I'm dealing with this, my leg cramps up. I almost kick myself. All right, let's see if this fits. Yeah, still off by a little bit on those three. Stretchy, stretchy. Go the holes. How far off are we? It's funny, they all seem to be off. That's strange. But it really is only the three are off by a little. Did I like skip a hole here? No, I didn't. And they're all facing the same direction in my design. Potassium. I could use a banana. Where am I going wrong with this? Hold on. That one moves down. That one moves down. That's why it seems to be so far off. I see now. Yeah, we just need to move them more. Just need to move them more. Yeah, I guess you would either have neat handwriting or uses that machine. I wonder, yeah, what level of work would justify that whole machine? Because that's a cool little machine. It'd be a fun stream to just look at one of those. I can't believe the first thing I did on touching this file was get files in my thumb. Just get metal blatantly into my thumb. It's one of the most annoying things when you have a little tiny piece of metal that's poking at you. And knowing this type of stuff that I do around here, it's probably non-ferrous. So I can't use a really powerful magnet to lift it away. This is still cramming it all into a semicircle, isn't it? Well, that one's almost completely loose, so that one's fine. This one needs to move down a bit more. And then the top one almost seems like it needs to move up. But I think it's all in this bottom one here that needs to just move a tiny bit more. That seems a little extreme. They also could be off in terms of their spacing. Maybe I need to make a new... like that one wants to go further up, of all places. I guess maybe they're spaced a little bit further out because of the 0.1 inch spacing. And I've spaced these based on a 100 millimeter circuit board, not on 0.1 inch spacing. So I think overall, these are a little bit wider than the holes for the mixer. But if I can get this to work, then I'll just have a distributor and I don't have to think about this again beyond today. Yeah, anywhere you make technical drawings, but like, I don't know. How bad do you have to be at handwriting? And how many technical drawings of what nature? Like, you know, it's... Could do one of those. The curve makes it sound more warm. Without the curve, things weren't sounding very warm. We put a curve in it, and we get that warmth. You should work in marketing. Yeah, that was a that was a pretty good way of framing it. I mean, I'm gonna know it's curved. I put spacers on it. I'm gonna have to. I think we have to make a new panel. I think I have to make a new panel. I think I need to make a new panel. Ouchies. Man, my thumb is never gonna... It still hasn't recovered from that. Where is that filing? What happened here? It feels like I've done this before with a file, getting it stuck in my thumb and then forever having this little tiny... It's like sitting on a nerve. I think I got it, actually. You end up tearing your thumb apart trying to find it. So that doesn't work. I'm going to start with another 2U panel. So I'll go back into Mod Synth projects and we'll just go with the template. Where is that? Panel templates, 2U. Save it as. To you. It's a patch panel. I finally remembered. Go to Mod Synth project. And I'll put it there, 2U patch. Okay, so the question is, how are our holes being spaced here? We can start well, actually, let me make sure to close out anything that I'm not working on. So I don't undo stuff. See, this has like bonkers measurements because the PCB, you know, might sit uneven or something like that. We were working within the 100 millimeter limitation of the $5 PCB service. So Julian was telling me, he's like, it could be a little taller. No, it can't, because then we won't be able to. I don't want to spend $40 on 5 boards. So we're going to keep it within 100 millimeters. But then that spacing was dictated by the absolute minimal spacing of the components on it. We're making a patch thing, so it's all just Donkey Kongs going top to bottom, but they are not super minimally spaced. They're spaced just a little bit wider than what we normally would have. So let's we can either measure them physically, or I can try to figure out some other way to ascertain the distance between them. I think mostly, though, the distance that we had going was the correct one. Like, that fits in. But then the error compounds itself. Like, these are pretty close to the spacing that I would want. Come back here. So like, that fits on just fine. It's just somewhere around here, the spacing compounds on itself and it starts multiplying out. Look at that. Yeah. And then the other thing is there an offset on this? Oh, that's got plenty of room. Okay. Well, it has to be 10 millimeter from the top and the bottom to fit inside a normal rail. I don't know if I've got exactly that 10 millimeter. This thing I think is 100. Oh yeah, so we're within that, well within that. This is another cheap circuit board order. All right, let's see here. So, okay, new sketch right on this thing. Create sketch, that's gonna be our holes. And then in the center, I'm going to put a mirror line. So we're basically only plotting 3 holes. Where is that center here? I'm actually going to get rid of the gray there because it's hard to see. So there's our center. Oh, I already have a line there. Okay, so we can use that as the mirror line. Actually, I would need to project that in, so we'll make a new line. So we'll just do that like this, and we'll make it a construction line. X, there we go. And then from there, we need to determine our spacing on the old one. 21.12 and 34.45, huh? So what does that make the in-between spacing? Well, maybe we should experimentally confirm this a little in a better fashion so we can work in metrics still. It's going to be some cursed number because we're dealing with 0.1 inch spaced perf board, and the 0.1 inch spaced perf board is what's determining the distribution of these things. So it's got an English sizing, you know, from the Stone Age, and then a metric part on top of that. And I guess what we'll do is we'll take the spacing of 2 terminals and we'll put that around center and then mirror the rest. Easy peasy, right? It always seems easy, and then everything kind of compounds on itself. All the little errors along the way start to kind of multiply and mutate. So our thread-to-thread distance is 6. I'm going to put that at 6 because I got 5.85. You get all kinds of cursed numbers here, but 5.9 with 6 in between them, and then an outside to outside. This is on an area that didn't flex very much. The whole board flexed, so I'm wondering if I need to like fan it out like this in order to get it right. See, if I measure it and I push in, I can get 17, I can get 18, I can get all kinds. How many PCB holes between thonk? 1. 1 in the middle, and the pad touches both sides. Oh, and that one's crooked. Wait a minute, there's another compounded error. There we go. uncrooked that. Use the 3D scanner to scan this. Just imagine this had a fart noise. Thank you, Groovy. Redeeming 1,000 bits. Listen, when I get that Node Red thing working, the thing where I'm taking in all the interactivity layer stuff into the shop, then I will be able to have proper redemptions on things like farts. So it's, yeah, 6 from end to end, kind of. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that pin is floating out in space. It's a very strange. The Donkey Kongs are very strange. 6 by 2.64. I had thonks in perf board on my other design, but so you're dead reckoning it based on the English perf board determining the locations. But like, that's not centered on the part. That's not centered. That's over to the right. Even though that spacing is going to be the same throughout. So I guess, yeah, that stands to reason. You kind of boiled away all of the external stuff into just the distance between this one and this one. Yeah. Right. All right. Makes sense. So 2.64, not inch, millimeter. Or I could actually put it in English into AutoCAD and it'll just convert it. So if the difference in distance between them is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 0.5 inches or half an inch, I can put in 0.25. So let's do construction line, and then we'll go down 0.25 inch, and then put a hole that is 6.2. It's hard to see with that in there. Let's get that out of there for now. It's 6.35 millimeter. That's for half. Wait. Yeah. That seems right, right? And then I do, is there point? I'll just manually do this. I can put them into the pattern tool, but it would be 0.6 inches. Or sorry, 0.5. I counted 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gets us to the next pin. So from this one here, and it's like, welcome to counting numbers, I know, but it seems beneath us, but I always get this stuff wrong, so. No, because we're going from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gets us back to the same pin. Mellow Labs rating with a party of 5. How's everybody doing? Mellow's Mischief Makers are rating in. Oh my God. You guys have your own cut and paste? How's it going? We're counting things. We're learning about counting today, and my inability or ability to do so somewhere within. This is like the simplest thing in the world. We had a design for a mixer that I've delivered to my friend and I don't have anymore, but I've got all these leftover panels. And so I wanted to put some connectors in there and make a couple patch panels out of it. And it should be super simple, right? Except the mixer that I made has hole offsets based on there being potentiometers. So because some of these inputs are pots and not jacks, the pots are spaced a little bit differently than the jacks are. Yeah, I don't have a friend anymore. I gave him the mixer and poof, he's gone. He's dead. No, he's giving me feedback on the mixer. The mixer's this big, complicated, super duper dense thing that I built. That is a 2-channel attenuating mixer of some kind, and it has all kinds of stuff on it. And this whole this whole design is going to change because of the feedback that Julian has. Maybe we could get one less knob on this thing. And I'm like, bitch, do you know? Do you know what I've been through? But anyway, so far this thing is electrically, it's going gangbusters. There's nothing wrong with it. It works perfectly well for, like, what I built is fine and sound. There may still be some preferential rearranging of things. So in the meantime, I just wanted to make a patch panel, and I said, hey, there's 8 holes in this thing. I might as well stuff my 8 holes with whatever I see fit so that I could run multiple signals through and around on my synthesizer. Turns out 2HP actually sells a buffer thingy-majig. Sorry, this is somebody else's tape module. Pretty cool. But yeah, this buffer right here apparently very complicatedly does sort of what we wanted and sort of not. But anyway, we were trying to get this thing together to make just a simple patch panel. How hard could it be? Turns out that little bit of spacing there is our, like, death to us. Yeah, they called it buff. Burf. I guess I probably could have just attached Funky Kongs without the circuit board in the back, but because this is so thin on the sides, if I were to plug something into it, the whole thing's gonna, like, bend. It's very bendy. So we tried to file the holes, and that almost worked. It's just that in my design, everything is a little bit more compact. Everything is just a tiny bit closer together. So while it starts fitting out just fine, it eventually drifts as you go through. So the next thing is, what is the spacing between the jacks here? What did I do? Well, we used perforated prototyping board, so we know that the distance between these holes is 0.01 of an inch. And so counting from the edge of one jack to the next, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So half an inch, it should be approximately from center to center. And we can just take a look at that, and I can flip this into in mode. Millimeter inch. 7, 6, 5, 2, 1, 0. Using the little knob on the side to get that. 0.00. Boobs. Sus. I'm going to put that at half an inch. That seems pretty accurate. Yeah. So, half an inch. Nice and easy. I cannot be asked to cut things properly, so 0.25 of an inch going down there, and then I'll just do 0.5 in, because the CAD program helps us with stuff like that. Actually, you know, I should use the hole tool. I'll create a pattern. Rectangular pattern of these guys. And we'll distribute it based on spacing. I don't know why I have a suppression dialog box. What does that mean? So we're going to make up 3 of them, I guess. And they're going to be 0.5 inches. Oops, wrong one. Oh, crap. Create rectangular pattern. Going down. We want 4 in the down direction. Did I not say 4? Oh. 4, and then the distance is 0.5 inch. Double I? Double I. Huh? Why is that like that? Hold on a sec. Is that interpreting my inches millimeter? Oh, geez. Oh, that's okay. That was overall distance, right? I need it to be spacing. Rectangular pattern. This I want 4, and I want it to be 0.5 inch, but I don't want it to be extent. I want it to be spacing. And it changed all my numbers. 0.5 in millimeter. There we go. Okay. Cool. And I'll just mirror these on the center line. How hard can it be? Sheesh. All this effort. All this effort. Okay, there's our panel. We can bring our panel back in, and I can just do finish the sketch. Another raid? What the heck? Mellow Labs and Code Rushed. So we got Mellow Labs with 5 and Code Rushed with 6. Hey, let's bring it all in here. Doing this little bit of CAD work is how I saved myself from my own inability to cut things evenly. To be fair, I should probably be able to do this just fine. And I could even take that FR4 and just punch holes in it and put the connectors on that as like a front panel. It'd be a very janky front panel, but this is like the simplest of 3D print tasks. Just put holes on a thing. All right, so now I don't need the sketches in here, and I can take the body, not 4U panel. This would be 2U patch, 2U patch, save as mesh, STL, millimeter. Yeah, we just want to keep it. It switched to STL recently, although I guess I could keep it as an STL. It was doing 3MF, which I don't really know what the 3MF format is. What is 3MF? I'll look that up. 3MF format. 3 mofos in a trench coat. File format for 3D printing that's based on XML. It's designed to be open source, extensible, and human readable. I don't know what information in there is wrong, seeing as AI overview frequently is. You can put minus AI, and it still comes up. You can also put a curse word in there, and you don't get the AI search. STL format is obsolete. Here's why you should be using 3MF. Hold on one sec. It's going to ask me to log in. Don't you dare. Don't you do it with your little delayed crap. It's going to pop that shit up right when it's on camera. I'll show you this much of it. I want my emails popping up all the damn time. Use TTS to listen to this article, and now I know that 3 megafarads is the proper way to say 3MF. This is a 3D printing something or other.com article, huh? Ancient computer terms. Oh my God, get out of here. First released in 1987 by 3D Systems. STL files were designed. Additive manufacturing in mind. Some people still experience blah, 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 blah. So apparently we should be outputting a 3MF, I guess. Even though this is like the simplest thing in the world. So we're going to do 3MF. 3MF's in a trench coat. And then that's just going to go into desktop, and then not mixed panel. I want to put that to desktop. I got a temp prints folder. Microsoft wanted you to put all these things in their own special folder for 3D objects, and nah, I'm going to put it in my own. I don't understand why Microsoft doesn't understand. Like, okay, what I don't understand about Microsoft, they seem to think that we always want a special place to put our stuff, like a My Documents folder, or like a special 3D objects folder. And it's like, no, we want the exact opposite. Like, we do not trust you with that. Maybe they know and they just lean into it on their part, but it's so weird how they, in Windows, well, was it new to Windows 10? I think it was pretty new to Windows 10. Is they give you a objects folder, a 3D objects folder that nobody uses for anything. Nobody uses it. Ridiculous. Okay, what am I doing? Prusa. I haven't started this up in a while. No. Super Slicer. That's right. It's been that long. Look at how buried that folder is. There's probably new versions of all this stuff, but this just works, so I'm not really falling over myself to upgrade all of my tools at this moment. 3D Objects folder's been depreciated in Windows 11. It still exists if you upgrade from Windows 10. 3D Objects, oh, dear Microsoft, you really don't know your users. Yeah, I guess that's as true as time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so weird. All right, so temp prints is the folder that I want to open up. Didn't they add something new to Windows 11 that nobody asked for? Like, in the same vein? I seem to remember there being something like that. So you patch.3ms in a trench coat and drag that over there, put this to the middle. This is as simple as they get. It's just a little panel that's going to fit on the front and have the appropriate spacing in it, and I won't have to measure anything. I am going to throw out all 8 of these panels that I've got sitting on my desk. I made 8 of them, and I should not have. Waste of plastic that was, and now I got to throw these things at the local dolphins. Local marine life will love being pelted by all of my plastic waste. Half of those went on the floor. And then over here, I got to turn on the 3D printer and get this thing all situated. Won't you guys come with me? Get my buffalo pretzel pizzas out of the way. We're going over here. I did some rearranging with this stuff on the wall. That's why the angle grinder's out. All right, so that turned on, and I heard the clicky thing do its clicky thing. Those 3D prints are cool. If you want to send me a postage paid package, I can fit as many of them as I can in one and send it back to you. Because Wexo sent me about 250 million of those things. And I've sort of sprinkled them around the shop, but I certainly have extras. Excuse me, sorry. All right, boot up the printer. Go to Octopi Local. This one, I never remember. I never remember this one. I think it's Oh Bother. And then it's just 1, 2, 3. There's not even a 4. Since you mentioned it at the end of the last stream, I don't know if posting in the same channel to Discord is helping much, but you... Oh, yeah. I crossed the 10 subline a few days ago. Yeah, that's cool, man. Oh Bother. And then I think maybe this one had a real password on it. That's good. I don't... So the streaming announcement section has been kind of a quiet place. It's been kind of quiet, and it's kind of buried down on the list of channels. I don't have any intentions of trying to popularize it, but it is a place to announce that you're, you know, when your own personal stream or a streamer that you're watching, you want to share, you can just, you know, post it there. And then it doesn't spam the rest of the Discord, right? Those were usually the rules, how things went down. Keep getting banner ads for AWS VPS. Okay. Okay. But yeah, I hope somebody is, maybe 1 or 2 people would pay attention to that channel. We're not cool and huge enough. We're not that big of a channel, you know, for a huge amount of redirection to come from that category in the Discord. We're waiting for the server to restart itself, which is what I was going to do anyway, so I might as well upgrade and restart. And now we got to wait for that reconnect. I have to reboot the printer every time I open it up because the Raspberry Pi continues to function, but the printer part of the printer shuts down, and so the science and technology space as a whole is really bad about rating and sharing. I haven't noticed that at all. I try to be good. The thing is, like, the personalities between channels, when you raid into, like, from a gaming channel to a gaming channel, they're going to be playing games. And so it's like, oh, cool, I could watch this. But if I raid into a gaming channel, everybody's like, this ain't work. I'm not doing work. This doesn't look like work. I got to turn this off. It's kind of tough. And so you know, a lot of the time I don't end up raiding people. I don't have a good sense of who's doing what around the times that I but yeah, science and tech is, it's tough stuff out there. Aren't there some big channels in sci and tech? I just don't get that many viewers. I don't know what I can do to get more. I've peaked. Ever since Twitch killed hosting. Yeah, and people kind of know the landscape nowadays. All right, so we did get a firmware version. So if I BL touched down, I heard nothing and this happened. God damn it. Restart the firmware, maybe? Side text spaces, bigger streamers just don't seem to rate at all. Yeah. I don't know how big, I can't, my heart can't take it. If I click into a channel and they're at all like me and they're doing much better than me, I'll fall into a deep despair. It says ready. What happens if I have BL touchdown? Oh, I heard a click. All right. So restarting the firmware, I guess, did it this time. The Science Fellowship is a group of science streamers, collegiate types that have kind of gotten together and gotten some of these popular science tech streamers to start commingling. And so sometimes we will get raids from those channels. That's basically what happened with Code Rush and Mellow Labs. Mellow Labs might have found me, but I know Code Rush through, I think through the Science Fellowship. So, yeah, Big Clive. I got to get on his radar because I'm basically like a carbon copy of Big Clyde. I didn't come to that, you know, purposefully. The thing about me and the other channels, though, is that I should not watch them because I will end up absorbing their memes. So I got to be careful about that. 30-second delay? I can't imagine. I say something and 30 seconds later somebody sees it. Let us slice. And this is going to be an 11-minute print. So we're going to watch this print. All right, so send and print all at once, and then that begins the process. Absorbing the means as part of the community aspect. Yeah, but then what happens when you absorb the memes and then all of a sudden they get canceled for being an awful person? Which has happened before. It's happened. I've seen it. All right, the problem with this is that it's burn the subs cam, and burn the subs cam is really high up. Let's see if we can bring this down to the printer. And I've got a little connector here, but I can't pull on this wire too much or else it disconnects USB, and that becomes a whole thing in itself. So let's see if we can just put this down here. Right now what's going to happen is the printer is going to measure itself, and that takes a little while. So it's not really 11 minutes. It's 11 minutes of printing, not really 11 minutes of time. And then I need to calibrate this camera because everything's all bloomed out. What is Super Slicer? I think it's been depreciated. I don't think Super Slicer is like a very popular thing to use anymore. But Super Slicer is just what I'm using to do the slicing. I mean, simply put. That was the one that was suggested to me at the time, and I think everybody's moved on since then, but it still works for me. Let's calibrate this camera. So this one is going to calibrate as if it's attached to burn the subs, which is a very bright board on the wall. So I now need to go in and adjust this a little bit more. Stand cam, properties, and we'll go to configure video, and then I'm going to bump up the vibe, y'all. How's that look? A little brighter. That's going to show all the dust. That's good enough. Oh, did we run into an error? This has been happening lately, is it's been erroring out. No, it's still good. Oh, we're waiting for the bed to get up to temperature. There we go. That's what we're waiting for. We can focus a little further back, huh? Cam, properties, figure video, camera control, focus it out just a little. There we go. You made a whole user script for the... Oh, is that with when you tab out, Twitch switches quality? I haven't had that happening. I don't know. I'm about to sneeze. There's a lot of dust today. Yeah, is Super Slicer still a thing? Let's look that up. Code generator for 3D printer. Pre-built Windows, Linux, Mac OS, blah, 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 3D models, OSSTL. C++, license and tributation. I don't really know what the people are using these days. We do site, Reddit, what slicer 1 year ago. Start with Cura. Try Prusa. So Super Slicer is based on Prusa, right? Prusa Slicer. But then Prusa Slicer kept developing. Orca Slicer. It seems like Prusa's come up 3 times in the top of that thread. So Prusa. Bamboo Slicer. Prusa. Super Slicer. Oh, there we go. There's a Super Slicer. When I got my printer, I also got a settings config that was tuned to the printer, and I'm too lazy to tune it myself. Well, that's not a very good endorsement of the software that I use. Some people are still using Simplify. Wexo bought me Simplify back in the day, but I've liked Super Slicer, but I don't think it's still being maintained. I think I use both Prusa and Orca. I've never tried Orca, but I missed the layout of Cura. I don't know. This was suggested to me by the 3D printing gurus, and I kind of went into it. The settings are a little bit discombobulated on multiple different tabs. When you get to know them, you can kind of find stuff okay, but it's still a little bit confusing. I want everything to be like Clipper, where you've just got one big settings file for everything. All right, so this thing is done measuring itself, and now it's just going to start the print on a dusty bed. The bed that I use is well, they say specially coated with ultra micro super duper blah 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 technical. It's just Teflon. It just has a little like coating of Teflon that leaves glass circles exposed, and those exposed glass circles, those exposed glass circles are what is being gripped. That's gonna mess it up. Hold on. Let's just get that all out of there. Usually I don't have to do that, but we'll just do that today to clean it up. Yeah, it's good and dusty. That little hair left over is gonna grab something and ruin the whole print. So I need to move it to the side and get it to stick down. There we go. That's it. We're a little bit ghetto with our 3D printing here, but it works. With PETG, as long as that first layer goes down clean, the rest of the print will be okay. Oh, it's gone up again. Or no, is that just the angle? I think that's just the angle. I thought it had flown up in the air. If it's up in the air, then the nozzle can potentially, and it just did, it grabbed it. Hopefully it doesn't throw it. Okay, good. Because if it grabs that one little spike, it can tend to roll the print around, and then it'll end up messing everything else up. Just having all the settings on the right-hand side, having to go through the different tabs, very irritating to me. Just want to change to organic support. Why is it this many clicks? I would love to have organic supports. I don't think my version of Super Slicer does it. I don't know if there's, I mean, my version is probably old as hell. I wonder if I'll get organic supports on an upgrade of Super Slicer. If I go to like a later version, I really want to have those organic supports. Those are super cool. And they save a lot of material. I waste a lot of material when I do supported prints. Then again, I'm using PETG, so my bridging is horrible. Just horrible. Apparently, I can tune that out. I just haven't put the effort into it. Were our holes 6 millimeters or were they 6.2? They better have been 6.2. If they were 6 millimeters, we're going to have a tough time fitting this thing. Hold on a sec. What was the measure on this thing? 6.2. Okay. That was past me looking out for future me. This is my crappy, unmaintained print bed. Where is this? This window's here, so actually, technically, I could probably do this. Nope. Oh, well, that's not the part of the page that I really wanted to show. That would have been more useful earlier. And everybody's telling me that I should be moving off of Octoprint too, but this stuff works. Maybe at some point we'll figure out what to upgrade to. Why is it so vibraty? It's getting crazy. People use like what, mainsail, I think? What is the new Octoprint? I don't know. This is my old Octoprint. I think mainsail is what people are using. It's whatever Fatinon's doing. He's usually who I'm looking to see like what the latest and greatest is. We never got our fan to work on this thing too. Oh, I just answered it. Okay. All right. I'm taking a quick bathroom break. I gotta use the bathroom. Put like a BRB up. We'll do YouTube. It's gonna be quiet for you guys, but Twitch will have a little bit of music while I do my thing. Bring that back up just briefly. All right, bear back. I'm back. Where are we with this thing? Still going. Bring that back out there. Hit pause. Okay. So we're still printing. How much longer does it say it has? Let's see. 5 minutes. Print time is 12 minutes. It lied to us. It gave us 10 more minutes than it thought. And it didn't factor in the fact that it always does the bed leveling and stuff. I got to move this off screen because every single thumbnail on YouTube has that car in just right there in the corner. I should do this. There we go. It's a little out of focus over there. If I move it back here, it'll be a little bit more in focus. But it looks more like it's a feature of the video. That's out of focus. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I wonder how rattled around, or would it'll stick to the bed though, because the bed's pretty warm. There you go. That actually works pretty. Oh no! Damn it! How many did he send? Oh boy, man. I can't even communicate to you how many I have. It's a lot. Like a lot. Like a lot. Like right over here. This is completely filled with them. To the point where I've got them all laying flat and in an orderly fashion next to one another. And it goes all the way up to the top. And then I have another box over there that's completely filled with them. Like, it's a lot. It's a staggering amount, actually. I don't know what to do. If I ever go to a convention, I can hand them out, I suppose. That's an overwhelming amount. I didn't count how many there were. It keeps face planting. Damn it. I can't get it to stay up there. Put it over here. It'll get guillotined as soon as the thing goes. Oh, it's not even visible over there, though. That's going to get its ass kicked in a minute. I was thinking maybe 10. No, it's something like 300. I don't know. It's well over 100 by like a, not an order of magnitude, but it is a significant amount. Let's just say over 200 for now is sort of a conservative estimate. It hits resonance eventually and then falls over. I really don't know what to do with all of them, though. Throw them out of an airplane window. All right, once this finishes printing, and it's got another 2 minutes, once it finishes printing, we have to let the bed cool naturally. Otherwise, damn it, otherwise it's going to warp. I mean, it'll still be flexible and warped in its own right. It's not really going to be all that structural of a panel, but we need to let it kind of do its thing. Otherwise, it'll be naturally. That almost worked. I don't want to put it somewhere where it's going to like structurally get in the way. I don't want to touch those wires. I could actually kill the print by accident. Yeah, I don't want to lay it down flat either. It's more funny when it drops. Last layer. Oh, I see. We're doing the fill in. It did the edges and now it's doing the fill. A couple little gaps in there. The new Benchy replacement. I don't know what it would be testing. I guess it would test your color printer. Has the Benchy copyright kerfuffle been resolved? I think it has. Are they some kind of rubber? No, they're the same stuff that's being printed. I don't know specifically which filament was used, but they are just plastic. They're just out of a regular old 3D printer. And Wexo, I guess, set off to use like an entire roll and then some of filament to make them. So I'm completely inundated with these 3D emotes. It's public domain now. That's good. Yeah, people were champing at the bit to try to be the replacement for Benchy for a little bit there, because there was the company buying up the copyright of it or something. They wanted to make Benchy private. You can't do that. genie's out of the bottle. All right, now we let it cool. We're gonna bump the camera? No, it's just gonna sit right there. They bought the company that owned Benchy. I see, I see. That's not the first time. I think you got a mislabeled as a first-time chatter. Oh, this is all soft. It's actually kind of soft at the bottom here, where I placed it down. Now it's got a little butt divot. Got a little divoted butt. Maybe the tracking device that Wexo hid inside of it will become visible. Yeah, but the thing is, like, Benchy, what do you do about that? I mean, what if everyone has a 3D model of your copyrighted, IP? What do you do in that case? It was always licensed in a way where you couldn't tweak Benchy, was it? I didn't know about that. Man, I really gotta. I'm gonna do some of the hair cutting that I need to do. I'm gonna lose 600 pounds of hair, but I need to figure out when I want to schedule that. My understanding is it was a third party that was trying to enforce the license. Huh? It wasn't one of those things where you have to enforce it because you have the license. You have to try to defend it or something. It wasn't the company that bought it, but it was a third party. Huh. Did our messing with the bench do anything to it? No, that's fine. I think everything's still... I feel like I see a seam on that thing, but it's going to be a while for this to cool down. I have a fan that moves air in the shop, so there's at least a bit of a breeze that it's in, but that bed needs to come down to temperature slow so it can do its whole popping off of the bed thing and doesn't because if I go in there and I try to peel it off, then I will be putting in enough of an angle that it might actually permanently bend the panel, and we want it to be a flat panel. But I am anxious to see whether or not our silly measurement worked out. So I guess we'll just give it time. Maybe I can move the fan, and that'll force the issue a little bit. You can take a look at it on thermals, but it just looks like one big block of heat. Nothing that special about it. Unclip myself from the lighting stand. See how that does. Of course, we're not going to be, I mean, you can see on the thermals there, you can see the fan is the little heat object there, but the effect of my moving the fan is not going to be readily apparent. I wonder if it'll look any differently over here. Can't tell. Time will tell. We have to wait. The cooling effects of a fan. Hey, Mellow Labs, thank you for rating. Good seeing you. I'm like a split second away from sneezing, which is why I keep pausing this way. That's why I stop talking for a significant amount of time. Ugh. I'm like just a moment away from sneezing. Did I just hear a click from over there? Oh yeah, that's right. So as the plastic breaks off of the little tiny circles of exposed glass, it will make cracking noise, crackle its way until it's loose. So if I'm hearing crackling noises, that's a good thing. It's usually when the two temperatures cross. Right about now is when I can actually force the print off of the bed if it was something else, if it wasn't just a flat panel. But because it's a flat panel, I kind of want to give it a little bit more benefit of the doubt to pop off. One other thing that I can do that will definitely warp it is I can spray it with Windex. Windex will sort of, I mean, it adds an evaporating liquid to the whole thing, which takes heat up and away. But then in addition to that, Windex has some detergents in it that will get between the glass and the print. Sometimes it can help on sort of more stubborn things to peel off. But this will pop off on its own if I just give it enough time. And then if I spray it with Windex, it will definitely warp because that kind of rapidly cools both things. So we can see if I can just push it to the side now, whether or not that's going to do anything. My emote is probably stuck to the bed. Nope, not sticking. So I push it laterally, not vertically. If I move it vertically, there's potential for me to bend the print. And since this thing is 10 holes in a 2U panel, it is not very structurally sound. It's pretty weak. All right, I'm going to use Windex on it. I'm going to try that. We'll see if it doesn't warp the whole thing. So, bottle of Windex, where'd it go? I haven't done this in a while. Let's give it a nice big spurt. Bam! Oh, there we go. That'll make some additional crackling noises if it's a particularly stuck on print. Oh, yep, see it? It's warping. But barely. It's barely warping. It is still warping though. That just picks right up. Nice and clean. All right, let's take a look at our print. Check this out. So that was that was pretty much like a half hour. That really wasn't a 10-minute print. Pop mine into the freezer for 5 minutes. That's one way to do it. I mean, if I'm doing a panel like this, I'm going to let it cool naturally. You just got to wait, because otherwise it'll be... it's just a little tiny bit warped over here. But otherwise, it is just a basic functional panel made out of PETG. And now, for the moment of truth. Funny how that works out. Perfect. All right, let's put the nuts on it. All that for that. All the head scratching and the measurements and the... That's my favorite moment right there. That kind of thing, where you spend all the time doing all the background engineering, and then something comes out of, no human hands touched this object, and then it works perfectly. Yeah, just leave it while it cools off. Well, what I do is I just leave it alone and, go about my day. I have something else that I need. There's always stuff that needs my attention, right? So I go about my day, and then eventually, and it's not that long either. It's like 10 minutes, but the prints will just pop right off. Because it's glass. I mean, it's going to cool down pretty quickly. And then if you just let it do that naturally, it just falls off with that surface on there. I don't know. My method of printing seems to be fairly unique among the people that I know who do printing stuff. Usually, the people on Discord are telling me that I need to do all kinds of stuff differently. All this and that and the other thing need to be done differently, Bother. You're not doing it the way that it should be done. But I've had zero issues, and whenever I've had problems with my printer, the fix for me using PETG is to turn up the temperature. Everything, turn up the temperature. It fixes everything. Yesterday I designed and started printing a desktop tool holder with parts catcher. That's neat. Everybody's been using the Gridfinity kind of thing, or whatever it is, the grid stuff. Printing all these little baskets for stuff in your drawers. Not like your underwear, I mean like your actual tool drawers. Patch panel. I'm going to be working with this smaller format of synthesizer stuff, I think, more. Making modules that are just tiny little things. Like this could potentially be just one panel, and I could still put an entire RP2040 on it. This could be one 2 HP module, and it would be a VCO that has wave folding. It would probably simplify the amount of patches that are in it. I made these because they were going to be a good generic thing with like one input or two inputs and one output. But there's some shenanigans going on with the wavetables that make it a little bit weird. I can get back to this and program it. It's a design from Hajiwo, and then I mixed it up with some Beautiful Instruments amplifier circuits. But I think I can actually fit all of that into just a tiny little like 2 HP module. I should probably work on that. I'll figure it out. We're in kind of like a vacuum, like a project vacuum right now, because it just yesterday Julian got the mixer and he's been able to spend a day with it. So I keep hearing about little things that he wants to tweak and tune about the design of the mixer, and I have to kind of help steer him to give me proper feedback about it all. Because there's things I can do and things I can't do. Like I can't have another input on it. Like it just can't. It just won't fit. But we'll come up with, in the next week or so, we'll come up with sort of the version 2 of that mixer, and that's when we can really hit the ground again. So for now, in a project vacuum, I'm sort of feeling around and just seeing what kinds of projects are going to really like stick and what things I really want to sink my teeth into. Burn the Subs I have been working on. That is currently an active project. I am stuck right now with Node-RED, getting Node-RED to actually do the things that I want it to do. And I think it's a matter of me just hitting my head up against it hard enough and seeing what the indent looks like. And that should, once that I top over that Node-RED stuff, is when we can really kind of get back into the hardware of the board. So if I'm doing a patch panel, am I still plugged in? I'm still plugged in. Huh, felt weird. It felt like it was unplugging. Putting 2 of these in your 8-way unit, and then you send me this weird shady link. We're not doing that. That's what we talked about before. I mean, that's basically a buffer thingy-majig. It's 2 of these would go into 2 of these, but with the switch going to the other 3, and that would make the buffer design. Although this is the buffer design I came up with has more amplifiers than this. I guess it doesn't need that initial amplifier, but if you want it to be in the same phase as the output, what we're doing is we're just going to make a patch panel. It's just a patch panel. 1 Phillips and 1 regular screw. Oh, this is your organizer? 1 Phillips, 1 regular screwdriver, slots to hold needle nose, flush cutters, 1 spare. The parch capper keeps me from losing screws. I have a silicon mat that does that for me, and it's currently attached to the side of the desk, but they have these magnetized silicon mats for catching little parts. I don't really like working on, yeah, not buffered. We're not doing the buffered one. I don't really like working on the silicon rubber because it catches dust and holds onto it. Yeah, this is as simple as can be. There's really nothing to this design. Let me just get some unshielded wire. We'll just run ground and power through this stuff. This stuff should take 22 gauge. Should take enough. Enough. And I'll just do 2 4-bay panels. The reason that I'm doing this is because plugging into the oscilloscope and the synthesizer at the same time, I need something like this. I probably could use something that has stereo though, so maybe I need to make this into a thing too. Do like 2 of these stereo breakouts and break-ins. Just simple adapters, you know? I lack the ability. Everybody gets the same ground. So I'm going to run ground on one side and then our signal on the other. And it can just be basically just attached straight up. Come in from an angle a bit. There we go. That. Now this is going to be our ground. So what I'll do is I will get my pin tool. Let's get the file out of here. That thing's been putting chips in my hand. Need to make a little bit of space here so that I can work. So I can work my magic. The desk is nothing but crap in the way. I guess in the meantime, I'm going to hit print again. I'm going to hit print on that thing. Oh, I got to get that thing off the bed. That's going to cause havoc. A little bit of chaos is always good for stream. I guess this one will be a stereo patch panel, which probably should be 6 pins, but I I don't know how many stereo connectors I have. Willow fan? What, $8 for dog treats? I will definitely buy dog treats with that $8 Willow fan. Thank you. That's very nice of you. I don't know. Listen, guys, I don't know if anyone's ever done anything on YouTube with, like, in terms of super chats and stuff, but the donation stuff on Twitch puts the announcement in front of my face. If stuff is going on YouTube, I'm unaware of it, and I'm sorry. And if you want credit, just drop me a note. But Willow Fan donating anonymously as Willow Fan with $8. So that $8, she's needed another chew toy. And not to say chew toy, I mean just toy in general, but every toy gets chewed on. She's a dog. But we had like one of those lambs, the lamb chops lambs, and she's completely eviscerated it, and it's just an absolute mess of a toy now. So I will replace it with that $8. Thank you. Appreciate that very much. Very kind of you indeed. So I'm going to bend this, and I'm going to take this ground all the way to the bottom, and then we just make little attachment lugs for this along the way. I see. Yeah, the ever-present dropping phenomenon. What's worse is when you're like me and you've got magnets on the edge of the metal desk, and so you drop something and it ends up stuck to the magnet instead of the screw bouncing and you know, going on a little adventure. But I'm not 3D printing my way out of that. I'm just dealing with it. Where are you going, you crappy guy? Use tweezers. A little bit more civilized. Everybody's doing stuff with that, what is it called? Grid stuff. You spend a crap load of time printing a grid that goes down to the bottom of the drawer, and then you print bins. I don't know how much support structures require. They shouldn't require any support structure, right? The person that was doing it in the Discord said they were printing a lot of support material, like a lot of wasted filament, which is weird because I don't think any of that requires any support. The bin baskets. The fan's not on me. The fan is not on me. I'm starting to sweat. Place to hold the screwdriver is just a bonus. Oh, whatever gets you there, you know? Tool might not work for some, but others might love it. I use the magnet hanger. That's really where my super use, like the tools that I use a lot, go. I've been messing around with Gridfinity and multi-board, loving it so far. I did wall control for my walls, but I haven't done anything for the drawers, and I don't know if Gridfinity would really work for me. It might. Maybe the programmer drawer could maybe use that. I don't know how much of a hassle are they to print. It seems like kind of a big operation. Let's see, this one, ground post is way down. I guess we'll keep going. Keep going. I could be a silly guy and put diodes and stuff in here. Be silly. Yeah, so this is not a buffer. So this, anything kind of goes here. That's one ground. Just go up the chain, ground all the grounds. Grounds are coming from that center pin of the 3. And I should probably, instead of having a hilariously short lead here, I should give it just a little bit of run out, just so it has something. that'll kind of guide it into position. A little bit like that. My hair is very much getting in the way of this. I'm looking down and up, and my hair is just like all up in my face. That's good enough. Next, I'll come back and solder those. Got a modding question about your keyboard project. That one has me down in the dumps right now. I'm depressed about the keyboard project because I need to pretty much start over, except for a couple little things about the part. Like I need to modify where those pins are. They need to be under the PCB, and then I'm going to put in an RP2040, just an RP2040 chip, not the module. So I'll need to have an LM1117 to do a little bit of voltage regulation from 5 volts. All of the I/O goes directly to the chip, and I'll need to have the footprint of the chip in the CAD program. It's like starting over from nothing. I was worried you were still mad about that. I'm still pissed, yes. It's okay, though. That's on me. I mean, these are my emotions. You guys don't need to be too disturbed about things like that. I will rant about it, but ultimately we'll be fine. But I do pretty much have to start over the whole thing. What's your question, though? Go ahead and ask. Or was that part of the question? Is that just what's the status? Because oh man, the software still scares me. How hard would it be to include a fingerprint reader module to that project? Is it even possible? If it's I2C, I could foreseeably add it to that project, but if it's not I2C, I don't have the I/O for anything else. The RP2040 has exactly the number of I/O that my particular keyboard has. QMK in general, though, Quick Mechanical Keyboard has all kinds of stuff that you can add to it if you want. So it's like a universal keyboard software. When you do add stuff, though, like a clock or like something that has alternative functionality to the keyboard, it's not in the driver. The driver will not be coordinating that. You need to add like a third party, you need to run like a third party program, unless it exists entirely on the microcontroller. So I don't know what a fingerprint reader, I don't know how that exists in, the normal scheme of things. If you add a function, like a function that gives you the date and time, I'm going to sneeze, hold on. Okay, there we go, I'm back. Because like if you want it to tell you what the date is, right? You have to run another program that would communicate to the keyboard what the date is, unless you had it fully contained within the microcontroller. It exists just as a keyboard and not as a keyboard with extra functions. And so those extra functions are fully, like, I don't know, fully autonomous. But that's something, I mean, QMK is it's like a toolbox of things that you can put together to make your keyboard a keyboard. Well, I'll look and just get this done. We're just doing very basic soldering. So this is unshielded 26 gauge wire, 28. 30 gauge, I think, is about where it is. And I just give it a little bit of a run out there so it's not just this tiny little section of wire connected to the ground bar, the bus. My Christmas present to myself was a Raspberry Pi 5 for Home Assistant. Been adding stuff to that for months. I heard good things about Home Assistant. I've been using Node-RED for all of my stuff, but I've heard good things about it. What's this? Wave Share fingerprint reader. Kind of cool. JLC website. The pictures are tiny. I can't see anything. It's just a little thumbprint reader, huh? Wait, do they just give you... Oh, I see. So, I mean, QMK, like, this is what you should do. QMK fingerprint reader. This is it. This is... That's pretty cool. So what do they have to run in order to make that work? Support PAM module, only Windows Hello. Daily driver, the fingerprint sensor is actually convenient when logging in the morning. Is this supported in QMK? Likely in just Windows settings itself. It'll detect and have a login options for biometric authentication devices. But does QMK coordinate that? USB 2.0 hub chip inside, Route 1 USB. So yeah, this is the mechanical solution to that. Instead of having it all run into QMK, it would be a hub that would have two devices on it. You got me interested in Node-RED, but I haven't gotten into it yet. I'll show you guys the flow that I have now for the light. That's going to be the wrong address, isn't it? Nope, here we go. Okay, so down here, I've got the flow for the on-air light. And the on-air light you guys can't see right now. It's actually right there. So it's red, meaning that we're on air. When I just have OBS open, it's purple. But it's a soft light. It's not like a super bright one. And I've got all this stuff happening here. It's crazy. So my stream state status changes to start or stop or starting or stopping. So we have red, green, orange, and yellow over here. Then I have a toggle for get stream status, and I have an OBS connection status, and all this stuff gives it the complicated ability to show when I'm streaming. Now, I still have to work on this flow down here in order to get some kind of a YouTube channel page change so that I know whether or not I'm live on YouTube. I need to make sure that I'm able to stop, because we were live for like 4 hours that one time. It's just total trash and just trash on the internet. But anywho, so I've got little toggles in here in order to get it into the right setting, but then if it contains open or closed, it gives it a different color. Then if it goes green, I have a 10-minute delay until it turns off. So when I'm done stream, I hit stop streaming, and then 10 minutes later, the light turns off. Light goes green, light turns off. So is this just USB? For the QMK stuff, yeah, it's just USB. But for this, it's all internet-enabled things. So that light back there is the bulb 1 filter. The whole purpose of the filter is just so that the same instruction doesn't hit it twice. What camera to use for streaming? These are Logitech, just the 1080p Logitech cameras, normal old C920, etc. There's probably different cameras nowadays, and these require you, every time you like do a stream, I have to go into the settings and recalibrate everything. That's how I get the nice 1080p and brilliant color out of everything. Nowadays, I think you can just get any old off-the-shelf camera and you'll get really good results. But these were Logitechs just around the era when they, well, no, they still don't give a shit. Around the era when they don't give a shit about drivers and stuff. I don't know what webcams I would go with these days. I'd probably want something more professional, whereas I would recommend something less professional. And the microscope is just a Logitech webcam as well. I have consistency across all my cameras. Although these days, I probably would rather do something like what Gonad does and use like an old school camcorder so that I get that color aberration and all the weirdness. Because it's just fair, it's more interesting to have sort of campy visuals. I'd probably prefer that a little bit. But for things like the microscope view, we kind of want it to be a little bit more functional. So having chromatic aberration and stuff like that when I'm trying not to stab myself with a hot soldering iron, maybe the route we went is fine. So this is the ground bus, and then we'll do the 2 tracks of 4. What I like about Home Assistant is that it's all local, no internet, no Bluetooth, no Wi-Fi, using Zigbee and Z-Wave. I have friends that have done that. Well, Zigbee is still, it's 400 megahertz, right? You can still totally get into that. The thing that I like with Node-RED is that I use Tasmota for everything else, and the Tasmotized stuff doesn't phone home. So you retain all of that wonderful wirelessness of everything, and it's all on the Wi-Fi. And I've just got a group of addresses where all of my stuff is. And then I don't have to string wires. I don't have to make sure that repeaters are there. I just have things in range of regular Wi-Fi, and they work. So I've been using this for quite some time. It's been several years that we've had this setup going in full, and we're just now expanding on it to add burn the subs to the whole thing. And the fart box and all the other Twitch interactions are going to be going over Tasmota devices, so that I retain control of it in Node-RED. And so there's one entry point that needs to retain like its logon credentials and stuff. That's the important bit, is that I don't have like multiple devices that I have to go into and update credentials. I have just one big landing area that I open up and give that all the recent certificates that it needs. Funny, I didn't have to do that with the Node-RED stuff that I was looking at. I wonder if I've got the OAuth certificate wrong. Because like, it seems easy as hell getting the Node-RED on there. You just get your credentials with the permissions and then run from that. Run with that. Run from there, you scream. You run and scream. And it should have just worked. But for some reason it's not. I don't know why. Everybody is now grounded, and that little extra right there is going to pose a problem. So now groups of 4 are going to get the tip connected together. Where's the tip on this thing? On these Donkey Kong connectors. On these little connected thingies. You know, these little guys right here? So the tip is on the opposite side of ground. The switch is the one next to ground. So with the ground wire as it is like that, these are the ones that we're going to wire up. So go there to there. And that's for 4 connectors. So we can go up to this view. Wait. It's already done printing. The second panel's already done. Sir, another panel's hit the 3D printer. All right, so we're going to go from here. Actually, I can't see all the way down there. Go from here. Nice to have a nice, easy soldering day. I think a project kit would be another nice, easy solder day. At some point, we got to build that $20 oscilloscope to see what it's worth. If it's worth turning into a synthesizer module or not. So 1, 2, and then we're wiring it up to this one. So that's right here that we're going. There's dog hair on my tweezers. God damn it. This is Willow fans doing. They did that. One day I'll find out who Willow fan is. You'll see. You'll all see. Actually, one of the results of donating like that, I think I will have the real name of the person who donated. It comes in differently when it goes into a bank account. Is that sufficiently over to the side? I think that'll do. So let's cut that, and then let me solder it down. I think it's cold soldered over here, but we'll just go back over it. Zigbee radios are on 2.4. Wi-Fi radio group. It does not connect to Wi-Fi like Z-Wave. It's a different protocol. And so it's not interfered with by any other Wi-Fi stuff. I see. Yeah, Zigbee used to be 433, but I guess they've had multiple different products. So I guess they released something that has a 2.5. I used to deal with that kind of stuff in a more professional capacity, aka the stuff that's in the profile down there. Slightly different working with it on that end. Not exactly the same as home automation. But yeah, Node-RED and things like Home Assistant really help you make your smart house into a home. They enable you to do all of the complicated things in automating into a crack home. This is tedious, isn't it? So this one, well, wait a minute. Oh yeah, this one. Every half an inch. Funny how that works out. Oh, it's downright silent over there with the 3D printer going. I honestly don't use Node-RED anymore. I was a heavy user of it, but I can do 99% of the things I was doing in the home automation platform now. I see. What kind of stuff? Like what kind of smart stuff? Because I don't use it for smart home. I use it for smart shop. And so the things that I have Node doing are a little bit different than what I would do with like a Home Assistant kind of dealio. I really want to do the Ubiquity stuff. Those are some slick products. They're a bit expensive, but I could then not have the Amazon lady monitoring my house. And it might get rid of some of the delays that the lady has. The lady has some delays. So somebody will like ring the doorbell and like 30 seconds later, which is a long time when you don't know who's at the door, it could be some kind of a monster killer or a monster getting killed. And I wouldn't know. For 30 seconds. What kind of time to react is that? So, because I'm down here in the basement, you know? That's why I need that. So, otherwise I would not have that. I would be one of those people who has one digital device and I keep it under a blanket, and if it makes any kind of a noise, I shoot it with a gun. Like I would be that person, except that spending the time down in the basement streaming to you guys, this is all about you in the end. You made me do this. I need to have some awareness of what's going on elsewhere. So the camera assistant stuff is actually quite useful for that. You know, I can have a presence upstairs if I need to answer the door, for instance. To address what the dog is, but well, that was before the dog. Now we have a dog, so she's the presence upstairs, I guess. Button webhook response from Stream Deck to control lights and fans. See, I'm doing that too. So I guess I could do that with Home Assistant. Interesting. Yeah, we're using bar rater tools to do HTTPS requests that get into the Node-RED flows. And then I have the Stream Deck also has automated stuff that will redo camera settings due to the OBS WebSocket node being as powerful as it is. So in order to calibrate these Logitech cameras, instead of going into the camera settings and jiggling the wires a little bit, all I have to do is tell it to do the preset. I've already done it 3 times this stream, is push the button and then the camera zips into its good settings. So that's basically Node-RED is also storing my camera settings. This is all Leb TV Live has coordinated a lot of this stuff. I think he does some stuff like this professionally, semi-professionally. But it's been really cool to be able to like automate complicated functions in OBS from Node-RED, and then also have things like on-air lights and you know little things like that kind of spice it up, make it cool. This is the wrong distance. Oh no, actually that's pretty good. Pretty good actually. Hands are a little shaky today. I don't know what's going on with that. Got a little too much caffeine or something. Maybe I'm losing my coordination, my brilliant surgeon's hands. Does that happen to surgeons after time? Do they lose dexterity? You know. All right, so there's a patch bay. It's as simple as it gets. We got to do that with the other one now. So it's still the bottom one because they're all facing the same direction. So go for the bottom pin here and do our next bank of 4, and then we've got a 4-4 patch bay. Simple as, right? It's a shame I couldn't use that the Amazon ordering button. The ones Shortlurker sent in, I guess we couldn't hack them because they were of a particular generation. But I could have used those as Node-RED controls. They would have been little wireless buttony jams. Use it to like turn on a light, unlock a door. I never understood really why Amazon would go through all that trouble to make those buttons though. It seems maybe it's just the nature of it all, I guess. But to have like a laundry detergent button, I would want to coordinate that with more stuff. Like, yeah, you hit the button and maybe it adds it to the cart instead of it just directly ordering it. Because like, I don't know, what if a little kid gets a hold of the button? Oh, that's right, 802. I think I have some Zigbee modems sitting around here somewhere. I used to have a bunch of wireless stuff. Kind of veered away from RF and did more broadcasting, so I really need to move the light. I can't see what I'm doing. Not the best cut ever. Doesn't need to be. All right, now we just add these two to the bus. The bus. There's a bunch of crackling noises from the 3D printer because we've allowed this thing to cool off properly. Unlike the one for this one that we ripped off early because everything needs to be instant. Everything needs to be instant. Things are happening all at once. Oh my God. All at once, all at the same time. Let's go. I wonder with the synthesizer stuff, I could probably make a Vactrol unit. You know, the simplest version of that is one of those photoresistors. It's probably more like if you buy an actual legitimate photo sensor, I guess that's probably the way to do it. Photo sensor and an LED. I wonder what kind of scaling you need to do for the amplitude. An ISO optolator, yes indeed. I have somewhere in my bag of tricks an RF opto isolator. It's an RF isolating transistory kind of thing. It's really weird. Good for like high-speed signals, I guess. I don't know why you would want to isolate something like that, but I wonder what that would do to music. What does it sound like? I see. So security is kind of baked into the Z-Wave stuff. I'm okay with security here because there's a nice physical barrier for people to get on my network. At one point, some of chat was a little bit scared about me sharing my network name because you can look them up publicly. Owie. Ugh, burnt the tip of my finger. I keep having these alternate grips with my soldering iron where my two fingers here, like this, the ring finger there, sneaks forward a little too far, and I end up bumping it up against my my fingy. To be a little bit more spatially aware. But so they were able to publicly look up the name of the Wi-Fi network. The thing is, my Wi-Fi network does not have a unique name. It's a name that other people have called their Wi-Fi networks. So when they looked it up, they found out that I was at a strip mall in Ohio. So my physical layer on the Wi-Fi is pretty safe, and I don't suspect there are too many people war driving around this neighborhood. In fact, I know who the people who would be war driving around this neighborhood would be. I know them personally. Although I guess all you need is a Flipper Zero, right? I tried to install, so my friend was telling me that I need particular programs on the Flipper Zero to do like rolling codes and things like that. And I tried to install them and run them, and it didn't run. So I don't know what I need to do on that. I think I need to wipe the Flipper Zero and start from nothing, and then install this particular set of programs, because this stuff is supposed to make it do rolling codes and unlock like a couple more little features. And I guess I got to give up of that collection of wireless signals that I think British person had on their GitHub. I found a bunch of wireless signals on somebody's GitHub, and it was like, hey, you want to take over a gas station sign? I'm like, hell yeah, I do. I have no reason to, but I could. Apparently, they must have sat there until somebody updated the pricing and figured out what the 433 megahertz signal is. There's a lot of unsecured 433 megahertz in the world, apparently. It's a mad, mad world out there of 433 megahertz. That looks cold soldered. We meant to go back over this one, right? So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do a stereo break-in, breakout. And I don't think you guys have to suffer through that build. I'll maybe just make that tomorrow, and that'll just help me route signals around. But that's all it takes. If you want to build like a patch bay, there's nothing much to it. I mean, there's really... And there's not a lot of room for circuit on here. I could fit one through-hole chip, which, you know, you could break out a design to be a little bit of a bird's nest. That would be perfectly fine. But yeah, there it is. That's just building a 2 HP module. A 2-panel module for all of your synthesizer-y kind of things. So anything that plugs into the bank of 4 is going to be distributed. So if you combine 2 signals together, it could potentially bring you into much higher voltages than you want. Just got to be careful about that. That's what the whole concept behind the buffering thing is. With the buffering one, you have 1 in and 3 outs. It's a totally different thing, where the 3 outs are now a repeat of that 1 in, but they're strong enough to go all over the place. Whereas with this, I am just simply distributing that signal on more wires, where they can pick up more stuff, more noise. Home network is behind a firewall that can't be seen. Yeah, if your place is small enough and you want to do all of this automation stuff, and you, as in general, I'm not talking directly to T-Mister. If one were to do all the stuff that I've done with all the Wi-Fi devices, and you don't want it to be like susceptible to the outside world, put it on another router. Just get a cheap ass router and just put everything on that. If your place is small enough and you can get Wi-Fi reception everywhere. Personally, I would love to go to the Ubiquiti stuff. It's expensive, but from what I hear, the reception is amazing, right? And we have a lot of troubles with reception here. I don't know. It's too expensive, though, for me to do. I've already got a network set up, so maybe if we move spaces or something like that. I don't think I would see myself tempted to go Z-Wave for anything. I know it's a good system, and yeah, maybe having it completely different from everything. Like if you're in an apartment or something like that, it probably makes a whole lot of sense to get yourself away from Wi-Fi. Everyone's on Wi-Fi. Everything and everyone is clogging up those Wi-Fi frequencies. So it's probably good to stray away. What in the fuck is going on? Why am I getting links to stuff? Oh, okay. All right. So I am done stream for the day. I have another panel sitting over here that I'm going to eventually make into another patch bay, but this one will be for stereo. Oh yeah, that's okay. I forgot about that. With the Z-Wave things, they'll mesh themselves. So as long as your device is near other devices like it, it'll just make its own little pathway to to signal integrity. The pathway to signal integrity is paved with good intentions. All right, do we have anybody else doing stuff today? I got a bunch of raids. That was really awesome. I didn't expect to get raids from stream, but here we are. Code Rush and Mellow Labs, thank you so much for the raids. Let me see. Just open up Twitch here and just see if anybody's currently active. Who? Who's Gina? You want to link me? Yeah, if you want to link, I'll throw some people over there. Oh, it's a My Summer Car stream. Well, if you guys don't mind My Summer Car, I'm going to throw you guys at a My Summer Car streamer then. Let's look up Twitch TV. Gina's. Oh, no, I spelled it wrong. AUZ. Oh. AUZ. I mean, we got a bunch of people who are asleep. Oh God, what is this feature? This knock feature? Like knock on somebody and raid, do that? Jeez. Raid AUZ. The last time we tried to raid, I ended up raiding like an empty channel. It was underwhelming. Make sure I spell right. All right, everybody. So I'm going to be back on Thursday. Check me in the Discord. You guys know the link. I didn't update the thing, so it would say that stream was like 4 hours ago. Next stream is 4 hours ago. It's just a mistake. I'm gonna throw you guys at a My Summer Car streamer. Be sure to say hi, and then I need to go take the puppy for a walk. So here you guys go. We're gonna start that up. And I will be joining you guys again on Thursday, and we'll have something else to do. I'll make sure we get like a good project to kind of sink our teeth into. I'll do a little bit of soul searching and figure out where I want to go next, or maybe I'll actually get this freaking board thing working on Node-RED. Sky's the limit, and if you want to help, I'll be in the Discord. Let's go see what Gina's is doing. Wait, end your stream with a question mark, dude.